You know, like I get excited when interesting people do jujitsu because I think to the outsider, it's a lot of people that are, you know, they haven't been exposed to what it's like to train and what it's like to be around high-level jiu-jitsu people. They don't know that vibe. They don't know what it's like. Like they don't know the beauty of jiu-jitsu. I feel like jiu-jitsu is beautiful for people who practice it. You know, like you see, like Marcelo's a great example. Your coach. You know, Marcelo is probably one of the most beautiful guys to watch because he just takes advantage of these scrambles in this like really beautiful way, like fast and slippery, and when the opponents react, he reacts in the other way. It's all just technique and flow. It's like the first time I ever saw him, I saw him live in 2003 in Abu Dhabi, and it's when he fought Shaolin. That was the first time I'd ever seen him in the flesh.
I didn't even choked him out in like 8 seconds.
Oh my God,
seconds,
this is crazy scramble. But no one even knew him. No one knew of him other than, you know, he was obviously, I think he was a brown belt at the time. I don't even think he was a black belt. I think Marcelo might have been a brown belt.
Hey, that's interesting. I didn't. 2000.
To find that out, was Marcelo a brown belt when he won Abu Dhabi in 2003? He may have. Eddie Bravo was a brown belt when
He told me
topped out
recently
Royler.
that right before that fight, his like his grips had locked up. So he went into that fight. It looks incredible. Just that arm drag, take the back, choked him out in
His, like,
seconds.
hands?
Yeah, his like grips from the fight before were like.
Oh wow.
Yeah. When Eddie Hoyler, he was a brown belt.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, John Jock took his black belt off of his own waist and put it on Eddie.
Amazing.
Dude.
That's epic. So yeah, it's funny. My background, we have a lot of overlap in our early jiu-jitsu education. Because my first teacher was John Machado.
Oh,
Jock's
okay.
brother.
Yeah.
And I spent years training with John in LA. Long before, and then yeah.
And then when did you move to New York?
So I moved to New York. I think I started training with John. So I was doing Chinese martial arts for a bunch of years before that, competing everywhere. Then I started cross-training with John in I think 2001, 2002. And then early 2005, moved back to New York, started training with Marco Santos in his school in New York. And I was training with Jucao and Alcid Brites. Jucao is an amazing old school Gracie Barra. Amazing fighter. And I was also cross-training with Lucas Lepri at the time. And I was just ready to, and then I met Marcelo, and he had moved from New York to Florida, and I was traveling to Florida to train with Marcelo a bunch, and I wanted to be pushed all in. And Marcelo and I got really close, and then I just said to him, hey man, you want to come back to New York and open a school together? And he really loved New York, and we got very close.
Where was he at the time?
He was in Florida. He was in New York before. He loved New York, but then he had to move to Florida. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu politics flowing everywhere, as it does. Jiu-jitsu politics. The worst. And yeah, anyway, long story short, we opened school together after that, and it was amazing. And I spent so many years all in training with him. Such a beautiful martial arts.
So in 2002, we promoted to black belt. So he was already a black belt because this was 2003. Yeah. Okay. So he had only been a black belt for a year and won Abu Dhabi, which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Just that. I mean, didn't just beat Shaolin, won the entire division, and just looked like anybody had ever seen. The scrambles and his ability to arm drag and take the back, and then once he gets to your side, the ability to transition to the back is just phenomenal.
And he spends his whole jiu-jitsu life he spent in the scramble, in transition, and that was really a philosophy of his. Have you seen that old school Arte Suave clip? Remember the old documentaries Arte Suave from back there around him as a young teenager training at Faber Gagel's school in Sao Paulo. And it was so interesting because even then you could see him. He never held position. He always let opponents move. It'd be fun to pull that up maybe at one point.
Interesting.
Like he never, a core principle of his was to allow the opponent to move and spend as much training time as possible in transition. And while most jiu-jitsu guys, as you know, they'll come up with ranks, egos are controlling, they're holding guys.
Yeah.
And,
is this him?
Yeah,
He's already a black belt here.
Yeah, this is after he moved to start training with Fabio in Sao Paulo. And it's such a beautiful thing because if you watch his style, not in this moment actually.
Now he's fully
now
controlling.
he's fully controlling it.
But most of the time he's scrambling.
Yeah, he's scrambling.
Did you explain why?
You're maximizing time spent in the in-between. I mean, I think in the martial arts, people are so focused on position when they're learning. Position, but the in-between is where the real virtuosity happens. Don't you?
Interesting.
And so he maximized his time in the in-between.
So in stand-up fighting, that would be like footwork and angles. It'd be similar to that, because the most important thing about any kind of combat sport, in terms of striking sports, is to be in a better position to land a shot and be in a better position to defend. So if you're fighting southpaw to orthodox, you always want to make sure that if you're southpaw, your foot is on the outside of your opponent's leg. That way your opponent has to kind of cross over, try to hit you, but you're in a position to hit them on the blind side. And the best ever at that is Vasily Lomachenko. Because Lomachenko, when he was young, his father made him stop boxing for 2 years and just study Ukrainian dance.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So for 2 years, he just did Ukrainian dance. And his foot, have you ever seen him box?
No.
Oh my God. Pull up Lomachenko highlight. It's all about movement and position with this guy. It's all about when you punch, he's going to make you react this way, and then he's going to go that way, and then he's going to spin sideways and he'll be behind you. This is Lomachenko. Like, the way he moves is so different. It's almost like he's got just a radar for like where their punches are coming from, and knows exactly where to put his feet at all times. No matter what they do, he knows what they're gonna do. But when you watch his like footwork, it's the most extraordinary thing, because his ability to give you all sorts of different reads, like incredible. I mean, he won a world title, I think, in his 4th pro fight. Unbelievable amateur record. But it's just the movement, like he's never right in front of you. He's always off to the side. He's always moving around. He jumps in and out, and it's with perfect precision. Like a lot of times when guys do a lot of footwork and movement, there's points in that transition where they're off balance, where they can't really throw a punch, or their footwork is out of position, or they're leaning too far over on this side. He's never off balance. He's never out of position. He's always slide aside, pop out, slide aside, pop up. And you never know where the fuck he is. He's a magician. It's fascinating to watch him fight. And very few people have tried to incorporate that. Like, you see some of his movement. It's just the way he's able to fool the best fighters in the world and just have a level of movement that they just don't really understand what to do with. They get baffled by it, because everything is coming from different angles. It's never, I'm charging straight forward at you, trying to destroy you. Everything is angles and movement.
Virtuosity is so beautiful to watch.
Oh, it's incredible in anything. In anything, when you watch someone who's just unbelievably extraordinary and unique in their, whatever their discipline is, it's always fascinating to watch. This episode is brought to you by Intuit TurboTax. We're all just trying to level up, right? I'm always trying to push myself, whether it's training, learning something new, or just trying to be a better human. You put in work physically, mentally, and over time, you evolve. It's 2025. Doing your taxes has evolved too. Just like we put in the work to level up, TurboTax has put in the work to make taxes effortless. Because now taxes is getting matched up with a TurboTax Live expert who has the latest tech. With that, they can cross-check millions of data points to make sure that your return is 100% accurate. That means you get the best possible outcome this tax season for your unique tax situation, all while you go about your day. It's 2025. It's time to file like it. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now at turbotax.com.
One way I relate to the transitional training is through frames. It's like a process of building more frames. We position. For some people, there'll be no space in between, but if you spend your time playing in the transitional space between, you build up frames, like an illusionist. I know you, like, you spoke to Darren Brown back in the day.
Yes.
Like, you know, great illusionists, magicians, mind control guys, they have the ability to see in frames that we don't have the ability to see, and so it seems like magic, it seems like illusion.
Yeah.
When martial artists are called mystical, right, it's because people don't understand what they're doing for the most part, technically, and they have frames where others don't have frames.
So they have more options, it's like having a language and you have access to a larger vocabulary.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. And people, well, it's like if you think about you're engaging with an illusionist who has done something and spent hundreds of hours in a certain specific routine, and you're seeing it for the first time. They just have immense knowledge where you have none. They have more frames, and they can play in frames that you don't have, and it seems like something's coming from the sky.
Well, that's where Eddie Bravo had a pretty significant contribution to jiu-jitsu, because he was so creative in some of his attacks and some of the things that he developed, particularly off his back. Like the rubber guard variations, they were so systematic and so, like, if you got good at it, it was surprising to anybody who didn't understand what you were doing, because they didn't know these positions well.
Yeah.
So if you got, like, there's this kid named Jeremiah Vance, who's one of Eddie's best guard players, and there's a highlight reel of his submissions off of his back, his rubber guard submissions. And if you don't have a person that you train with, if you train at a traditional school and you don't understand these positions, you don't know how good someone can be at it, there's times where you don't think you're vulnerable, where you're incredibly vulnerable. Like, the difference between a really good guard player in MMA and like Paul Craig, for example, he submitted some of the best two world champions off of his back in the light heavyweight division, Jamal Hill and the current champion Ankalaev. Ankalaev's only defeat is to Paul Craig, because he's just wicked off of his back. So everybody feels comfortable. In MMA, there's only a couple guys like Oliveira. You got to really watch your P's and Q's. There's a few guys that are just wicked off of their back, but no one's like Paul Craig. And so if you're just used to fighting regular guys off of their back, and you get in guard, and you get a little cocky, you extend an arm to try to land a punch, and then all of a sudden his legs are wrapped around your fucking neck, and you're like, oh Jesus, how did this happen so quick? Because it's just got that technique. It's just so tightened up. It just locks it up so fast. It's fascinating to watch the difference between like a really good guard player and someone that's just a regular MMA fighter who knows how to do a triangle but really doesn't have like the elaborate setups.
In many ways, that's on a large scale what Hoist was doing back in the day.
Sure.
Right?
No one had any idea what was
they were
going
grabbing
on.
his gi, think they had a huge advantage. They were entering his terrain. And then when we were training in the early days, there was so much closed-mindedness about leg locks. So the leg lock game was outside the conceptual scheme to so many jiu-jitsu guys.
It was forbidden.
It was forbidden, so they'd get caught. It's like that dogma. It's so interesting competitively finding where someone's dogma is, where their constructs are, their false constructs.
Well, there's a good argument for it with the gi with young guys.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Not
because
shredding each other's ankles all the time.
ripping knees apart where they're not going to be able to be repaired. You know, I mean, how many people have ruined their knees forever from a heel hook? A large number. I would imagine if there's any technique that sort of ruined an athlete's career, the heel hook would probably be number one.
Heel hook is why I started training jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Yeah, because I was doing stand-up stuff and I was competing everywhere, and I was doing Chinese martial arts, and my teacher's son, Max Chen, he was a Sanshou fighter and on the U.S. national team, really good stand-up fighter, and he was studying UFC before I had even looked at it. And then he was studying, it was Frank Shamrock's double heel hook shit from way early days. And he was just like, let's just continue to the ground. And I had never ground fought before. And I ended up in the ground, and he just put me into heel hooks and double heel hooks. My knees were exploding. He had no idea what the fuck he was doing.
Oh, no.
Terrible idea.
Oh, no.
My knees were just screaming. And I would throw them on the floor, and then I'd be tapped. I didn't even know what tapping out was. I had never grappled before.
Oh, no. You didn't even know
I
how
didn't
to
know
grapple
anything.
put you in a heel hook.
Nothing.
That's so awful.
The first submission I felt in my life was like the heel hook 20 times. Somehow my ACL didn't shred, and I was like, I have to fucking train this jiu-jitsu because Max is kicking my ass, and I didn't like it. So then that's how it all began.
Well, Hoist was brilliant in wearing the gi because it made people grab it.
Yeah.
But took a boat over to Normandy. My grandfather's entry is something to the effect of, we're storming this beach today. Like I don't think he knew the levity or the seriousness of what was happening. I think they were like Like he just very casually mentioned it.
Oh God.
And the only other thing I remember out of reading that diary was that he would get water in his helmet. It was so cold, he'd get water in his helmet to shave. And by the time he went to shave, he had to break it would freeze over with ice. And he had to break it with his razor. But to think that just the amount of trauma that those guys went through, and no one really cared about it. They were like, just have a fucking shot of scotch.
And that was the second time the world had gone to war. The world had gone to war just a couple of decades earlier.
Dude, can I tell you what fucking makes me stop for a second? When we were in Serbia, they have statues of Gabriel Princip everywhere. He's the guy that shot Franz Ferdinand, the Archduke. They have statues of him everywhere. He's a fucking national hero in Serbia because he technically created Yugoslavia. I mean, people they wear shirts of Gabriel Princip.
Wow.
They have wallets of this guy, movie
Started
producer.
World War I.
He changed the world forever. That one man is responsible for millions of deaths and so much suffering. That one man.
Crazy, and they have statues of this dude.
Statues everywhere. Dude, I got obsessed with it because I was like, I can't believe you guys, like we consider that a terrorist in our country.
Oh my God.
And this one guy gave me
That's so crazy.
they gave me a,
Look at that writing. How cool is that writing? Go back to that. Look at the fucking writing at the bottom. Look how cool that is.
Gabriello Princip.
Can you read that?
Yeah. It's
Really?
I think it's Russian. It's acrylic or whatever it is. Cyrillic.
You can read that?
Yeah.
For real? You can read Russian?
Yeah. I never told you about the time I went to Russia?
You did, but I didn't know you could learn. I didn't know you learned how to read it. I thought it was really hard to read.
I just met this DJ, very big DJ, DJ Zed. If I played you any of his songs, you've heard every one of them, right?
Okay.
And we met him I was with Santino, we were at a tennis tournament. And I said, wait, where's your accent from? And he goes, oh, I'm Russian. I said, yeah. And he goes, I was like, конечно. And we started talking to Russian back and forth.
How long did it take you to learn that?
As long as I was there. I got pretty good towards the end.
How long were you there for?
A month and a half, 3 months.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
2 months,
Do you have a
maybe?
hidden skill?
No,
a hidden ability to learn languages?
No, I know. I can speak Spanish. I just told you the same Uber drivers picked me up 6 times in this town. And he doesn't speak English.
How'd you learn how to speak Spanish?
I just grown up in Florida.
Really?
Yeah.
You might have a secret language ability.
No, anyone that
No,
just
that's
heard me
pretty
talk in Russian
extraordinary.
just knows that I don't even sound good.
Yeah, but you could. I took Italian in college. I can't fucking speak Italian. I
Yeah.
took Spanish in high school. I can't speak Spanish.
No, I can understand Russian a lot better than I can speak it.
Yeah, you might have a hidden ability to learn languages.
And I can understand Spanish a lot better than I can speak it. But I was just in Spain. I was just in Spain a week ago, and apparently my Spanish, it sounds like me need ice, me ice.
At least say something.
Yeah.
You can communicate. Something's popping off in Serbia right now. One of the largest protests ever is happening in Serbia right now.
For real?
300,000+ people in the streets.
It's a complicated country, and I love Serbia. I
don't know
Serbia.
what's going on. I have no idea what this protest is about. I just saw it in the news feed, popped up. Record-sized protest in Serbia.
Deaths over 15 people dying in the railway station collapse.
So what are they?
Hundreds of thousands of people descended on Serbia's capital to protest over the deaths.
Huh. So was it like some corruption or something? Like some shitty construction? Like what happened?
We just want a country that works, lost it. So.
Wow. So hundreds of thousands of people in the streets because a rail station collapsed?
That's what it says on the BBC.
Interesting.
Insight.
They don't take any shit over there.
Dude,
Figure it out, bitch.
We'll
get in the street.
It's fascinating. Listen, I understand if you're Serbian, you're listening. You may disagree with what I'm about to say. I'm just going to say it. They fucking hate Albanians.
Oh no.
They make Albanian jokes like crazy, right?
Really?
So when they were on the set, I said one of the guys, I go, hey man, I'm not like a woke dude. Man, it's a funny joke. But what if there's an Albanian here that heard that and heard the films, and he goes, oh, he'd know to be smart enough to keep his fucking mouth shut. And I went, all right, never mind. The only Albanian they like is Dua Lipa. They love Dua Lipa. I know I'm generalizing, and I know there's Serbians that are like, we don't hate them all, but they all know how to play basketball. They're all tough as fucking shit. Every dude's a fucking man. You don't meet one dude that you don't think is a cage fighter.
Bro, these war-torn countries are not playing games.
grow.
They breed different humans. And that's when those guys come over to the UFC, they're different humans.
They had a, and now mind you, I gotta guess the Serbians that I was hanging out with, and one of them was my driver. But like they had a chant for their president, for the when the president, they would chant out the other guy, and it was like, "He's Vinici, he's a faggot, he's Vinici." It's like
Christ.
such a fucking. I don't know, man. There's something really interesting about that freedom that they had there, that they just talked openly. And like they take a cigarette break, and like the girls would sit down and cuddle up next to a dude that they weren't dating. They just touchy like that. Like they don't have like, there's no like intimacy counselor on set. They were just. I remember watching one of the girls sit and have a cigarette with one of the dudes, and they were like just cuddling against the wall. And I was like, "Are they dating?" And they're like, "No, they're just friends." Look at that shit. That's Serbian basketball, baby.
Bro, that's war. That's war. How long before these guys take over basketball?
Oh, buddy.
Kind of have.
Give them another year.
They kind of have.
They're taking over MMA. They're taking over boxing.
The Doncic. the
Dude,
Did you see-
everyone plays basketball. The girls play basketball there. No one jogs. I was the only one jogging every morning. Every morning I jog by myself.
They're fucking farmers carrying weights around.
Those men are beasts. I'd go to the mall. It's like the nicest place to go.
Bro, that is the most terrifying basketball game I've ever seen in my life. If I was, imagine
How
like showing
fucking-
an American basketball crowd what they do in Serbia. You'd be like, oh no, they're coming.
Wouldn't it be great to watch a Serbian team play like one of those inner city teams where
Look at this. Give me some volume.
Look at that. Look at that.
Holy shit! That's like fight night intensity.
That's Texas fucking high school football.
Right.
We used to play a black team growing up. I was like Booker T. Washington, and they would come in. We'd play basketball, and the visiting stands would be packed. I can't remember the exact name of the team, but they'd be packed. And their thing was, boom, we thump, boom, boom, we thump, and the whole fucking crowd. And we were like just a bunch of white kids. We had no chance. We had no chance. I've got spirit. Yes, I do. I've got spirit. How about you? And they'd be like, suck our dicks. But that energy, that high school black inner city energy with some HBCU cheerleaders. You ever seen the HBCU cheerleaders?
Yes, I
They're
have.
my fucking favorite. Versus a Serbian, just fucking no deodorant. Just, God, man, I miss Serbia.
When those folks start entering into other sports, when people from like hard environments start entering sports, like this, the scariest guy in the UFC, or one of the scariest, is from Chechnya.
Chechnya.
Yeah.
That's war-torn.
Dude, this guy is a fucking Hamzat Chimaev. He is a fucking animal. Have you ever seen that guy fight?
No.
Hamzat Chimaev. Pull up Hamzat Chimaev versus Kevin Holland. So Hamzat Chimaev is the #1 contender in the UFC's middleweight division. He's a fucking monster. And he's so aggressive, like relentlessly aggressive. He's known to get in fights like backstage and just an animal. And like in post-fight interviews, he's like, I fucking killed him all! I killed him all!
Wait, did I just watch him drop weight today?
Oh, you might have.
Where
He
they
used to
shaved
fight
his head? They shaved his head to drop weight?
No, I don't think so. Maybe. I don't think so. But he just go right from the beginning, because this is the beginning of the fight. Watch how he storms at him.
Wow.
Bro, the amount of fucking grappling power you have to ragdoll Kevin Holland like this is insane. Kevin Holland is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Travis Lutter. I mean, he's a legit grappler. That's why he's surviving and he scrambles, is because he's a legit black belt.
What's he saying to him?
They're talking shit. Kevin likes to talk shit.
Where's a lip reader when you need one?
I think Kevin's probably like, come on, man, I thought we were going to stand up. Why don't we fight? Why don't we fight in the feet? He's probably trying to goad him into doing something stupid.
Yeah.
Kevin talks shit while you're hitting him. I mean, this is crazy grappling ability. The way he rotates with him, and here it is. Here's the Darce. So he sinks up the choke and slides through. Watch his right hand. His right hand's gonna reach forward and grab a hold of his bicep. Watch how, this is when he sends, see it slides down?
Yeah.
When the right hand, right now it's still open. When the right, now it clamps. Now it's on the bicep.
Oh,
See?
wow. Yeah.
That's the choke. The choke's fully locked in now, and Kevin's fucked.
God damn.
He's totally fucked. And he's gonna have to tap. And he eventually taps. But I mean, to tap a guy like Kevin Holland, and not just tap him, but just he has no chance at any moment in the fight. It's just total grappling dominance.
Look at that.
He's a monster. Just a fucking monster. And like the most aggressive guy in the fucking sport. Like right away charges, and this is it. This is the end. Once he taps it.
Oh my God.
Once he gets that leg over the top of the body, so he isolates the body and constricts deeper into the choke, he's done.
Dude, I got choked.
Unbelievable.
I got choked out by my daughter Isla.
Oh no.
Yeah, we were on vacation.
Were you trying not to get choked out?
No, she's
You let her do
she's
it?
a girl, so I thought she's talking shit. Eddie Bravo's got her private jujitsu lessons, so she's been taking jujitsu in our fucking gym. And she's dyslexic, so she can never tell you the right move she's about to do. And we're on vacation, and she goes, it'll be easy. You gotta slow down there, big guy. I'll choke you out. And I was like, oh, you're gonna choke me out? She goes, it's easier to choke out big guys. And I went, really? She goes, I find it easier. And I was like, okay. I was like, try to choke me out, Joe. This little needle arm went around my neck, and I swear to God, what is she, like 15 at the time? I just went, I tapped. She was like, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, my daughter?
That's what I thought, she said.
That's
She
what I
talked
thought.
Shit.
Dude.
Disrespect.
She did. She met Eddie Bravo. She met Eddie Bravo at our house one night, and Eddie, me, Sam Tripoli. Eddie and I are lit, right? And we're in the kitchen. We've just done like a podcast, and Isla comes in. She's like, "Who's this guy?" And I go, "This is Eddie Bravo." She goes, "Okay." I was like, "He teaches jujitsu." She goes, "I want to learn jujitsu." And Eddie goes, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah, a little bit of that." Hi-ya! And Eddie goes, "That's not jujitsu." She goes, "Whatever it is, I want to learn it." So he goes, "All right, I'll set you up." And he got her this lady that came over to the house like 3 times a week.
Oh, wow. That's
got
amazing.
mats in the back, and Isla loved it. I loved it. Except she'd turn the Nest cam around so we couldn't watch her jujitsu lessons.
Oh, that's funny.
She was like, "I don't want to watch you. I don't want you to watch what I do. I
that's
just want
funny.
to. I want to learn it."
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It's a very good thing for women to learn because jiu-jitsu allows you to defend yourself in a way that very few martial arts really do. Because you don't have to rely on the size of your hands hitting people and kicking people. It's too hard. It's too hard to knock out a man. Like if you have small hands, if you're a woman, it's just like you can't generate enough force for the most part, unless you're like a unusually strong woman. Some women, there's a few, like Holly Holm. Like you don't want Holly Holm punching you in the face. Amanda Nunes will knock you out cold, 100%, even if you're a dude. But most women, they just don't have the power in their hands. But everyone has the power to carry your body around, right? So your legs are really strong. If a woman gets her fucking legs locked around your neck and gets a triangle on you, you're fucked.
Dude.
If she knows how to do jiu-jitsu, like your legs are carrying, if you weigh 130 pounds and you're a woman, your legs are carrying 130 pounds all day long and they don't get tired and they're strong.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is like, whoop, whoop, lock that bitch in behind the knee, crack, and pull on the head and you're going to sleep.
Dude,
You're going to sleep,
she could have put me to sleep.
I bet you could have.
I've
Yeah.
been fucking humiliating.
There was a show that they used to have on Showtime where this dude who was he was a porn star. He had a show on Showtime, and he had like a reality show. And in one of the episodes, he was going to do jujitsu with a woman. And so my friend Felicia O, who's a black belt under Jean-Jacques Machado, she's a legit beast. And she weighs 130 pounds, maybe 135, maybe. And she choked the fuck out of this dude like multiple times. I don't even think she was a black belt at the time. She was probably a brown belt. Maybe she was a black belt already. She was a black belt before me. But I used to train with her all the time. She's really, really good. And a dude who didn't know what he's doing, he's going night-night.
It's amazing how many dudes don't know what they're doing.
Most people don't.
Most people.
It's too hard to learn. And you got to get humiliated when you do learn. You get fucking humiliated. It's a brutal wake-up call when you get strangled. Like, and how easy is something else? If you can't find something else to do with your time, then you're a cripple. Then you're getting your 10th surgery on your back. and you're still trying to train. And everybody's like, look at Bob, he's crazy. He's got all disc fused, but he's still training. Like, maybe Bob shouldn't be training. Like, maybe Bob's gonna break something else now. Like, maybe it's time to move on to something else. And if you don't have this ability to constantly take on new projects and be excited by different things, you're gonna have a shallow life. Like, life has so many challenges and so many fascinating things to dive into. For you now, it's foiling. For a while, jiu-jitsu, chess, like anything like that, you'll find something else like that. When it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure, nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all gonna happen. Bet the unexpected, every upset, every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time? Here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code Rogan. That's code Rogan for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
You'll find.
Jiu-jitsu was the art I had to move on from, not on my own terms. Because I ruptured my L405 disc.
There it is.
Trained on it like a crazy person for a couple years, and then the doctors looked at that and they just like, if you keep on doing this, you're not going to be able to walk. You're not going to be able to play
What's
ball
it like
with
now?
yourself. It's great now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
I
I
mean,
think it's a little bit foiling. Probably makes your core like incredibly strong.
yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. I mean, I never had surgery. They all told me to, but I didn't have surgery. And I did tons of, I've been doing total immersion swimming and foundation training and everything I could do for the back. And the foiling feels, I'm training, like I'm all in on this art, and I'm doing it in a way that feels healthy in the back. I train jiu-jitsu now, but light. I can't train all out. I got blood.
That's
It was
good.
hardbreaking to give it up.
It
I
is
was-
hard.
And I was so madly in love and all in with Marcelo, and having that, like, I was at that part of the learning process, which is where I get good at the learning process, which is like toward the higher levels of something. That's where I'm best at learning.
Did you have a small injury that got worse over time, or did you have a significant moment where you realized you hurt it?
I was so stupid. No, it was a significant moment. I was position sparring. Marcelo wasn't at, we were at our school in New York. It was a week before my eldest son, Jack, was born. So it was a bit over 13 years ago. Marcelo was gone. I was at the school. Paul Schreiner was running class that day, I think. And there was this 240-pound blue belt visiting. It was this like ripped dude. And Paul had everyone doing position sparring, half-guard position sparring. And this guy was matched up against one of our guys. I've had that hubristic, invincible feeling about me in that moment. I was just, when you're feeling at your very best in martial flow, and I was like, and it ended up where we were doing half-guard position sparring, where I was holding half-guard and he was doing this path, twisting the spine, and it was so fucking stupid to do it. I mean, I was just holding half-guard in position sparring, and I just felt it go, and then, like, you know, couldn't move. It was fucking terrible.
Did it herniate?
Yeah, and all the fluid gone.
Oh.
And yeah, it was brutal. You know, it was. And I remember.
So
like, the week,
how is the disc now?
I couldn't lift up my child for the first 3-4 months of his life.
Boy.
Then I had this strange period where I couldn't. Standing and walking was the toughest. But then I had this period, like if I would go into the corner store to get milk, like 3-4 months later, I had to bike to the corner store and come back. And I can't explain this, but I had a period where I couldn't walk, but I could ski because of the angles. Marcelo and I were going to the mountains out around New York, just bombing down. I just was trying to get my fix in. Just skiing without turning was my goal. He was snowboarding, I was skiing.
You couldn't walk, but you could ski.
Yeah, it was a
I
very
would've
strange
told you,
period.
Dude, ski.
Don't fucking ski.
I
Yeah,
would
it would have been a
definitely
smart
tell
thing
you
to tell
don't
me.
ski.
Yeah, I was a dumbass for the first 2 years after the injury, and then I realized I had to.
What does the disc look like now?
I haven't looked at it in a long time. It
Doesn't trouble you anymore.
it does trouble me. I take care of it all the time. Yeah.
They replace them now. Eddie Bravo got a fake disc in his lower back, a titanium disc, and he's able to train again. I know quite a few guys who've got them. Aljamain Sterling got one in his neck, and then went on to defend the UFC Bantamweight Championship several times. Yeah.
They replaced them altogether.
Yeah, they put artificial discs now. Yeah.
You know, your point about, I remember I was back in the early 2000s studying Eddie skiing, studying the rubber guard, studying all the twister stuff, just trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, he's got some wild stuff.
Wild
and if
stuff.
you're not used to it, it's really interesting to watch people that just have never encountered it before. When I would go to train in other places, like I lived in Colorado for a bit, and I trained at Amal Easton's. And when I'd go up there, there's so many positions that guys just didn't understand. They didn't know what was going on. They figured it out after a while, like, oh, if he goes this way, he's going to try to get me in a twister.
Yeah.
If he goes this way, he's going to try to set this up. But there's certain things that people do all the time, like especially like put your hands on the mat. If you put your hands on, pull up Jeremiah Vance highlights. This is like one of Eddie's best black belts with rubber guard. And the way he does it is phenomenal. He has incredible leg dexterity, and his technique is so sharp. And he catches people and stuff where they're like, how am I even stuck here?
You find that
No, yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
So watch how quick he sets things up. It's like right away, you're Fucksville. Like who does this? Who sets up a go-go plata right off the bat and then triangles it? Look how he sets this up. I mean, this is insane. And just massive crank on your fucking neck. And he switches it to omoplata, re-rolls. Omoplata crucifix finish. And everything he does involves this incredible dexterity and flexibility. There's like a whole series of highlights. That's not even some of his best stuff, but he's able to do this to people that just don't know what he's doing. Like, they don't understand some of these transitions. And this is just like one of the best expressions of the techniques that Eddie's developed. So like Jeremiah's fantastic at that. Like this particular technique of being able to isolate the omoplata and then secure a choke in the transition. He does this to everybody. Look at how this transition right here.
Brutal.
It's so nasty. Yeah. It's so nasty, and you don't know what the fuck you're doing. How am I getting out of this? I mean, he just hits this over and over and over on people. And so many times when people go for an omoplata, people say, okay, worst case scenario, I might roll out of this and wind up on my back in side control. But not with him. Yeah. No, with him, you're like, this is like, you're really close to checkmate from the moment the omoplata is set up from a position where you're defending. So you're defending correctly from the omoplata, and that winds up setting up this choke.
What was how do you feel about Ryan Hall's game in MMA? Like because he's entering the MMA game.
Oh, he's been
right?
in the MMA game for quite a while.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, when he entered the game, he came into it with a repertoire that was so unusual for him.
Very unusual. Well,
yeah.
He's really, really smart, obviously.
Yeah.
And when you see his style, the problem with his style, in my opinion, is it's so jiu-jitsu heavy that he's vulnerable when he's fighting world-class strikers. Like Ilia Topuria smashed him.
Yeah.
And it was a horrible, horrible knockout. And it's because Ilia's a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but also like way more technical on the feet. Mm-hmm. And when you're fighting a guy who's just any one mistake you make in striking is a concussion. Any one mistake, boom, a big hand's coming, a knee's coming, a kick's coming. It's like something's coming if you make mistakes. It's just like being a blue belt rolling with a high-level black belt. It's the same thing. It's like you're just way too vulnerable. So his jiu-jitsu's off the charts, but his stand-up is not at the level of his jiu-jitsu. And that's just a real problem today. It's very hard. You can kind of be a specialist if you're a striker. striker, like, there's a few guys that can pull it off if they're really strong and they have good takedown defense. Like Pereira is the best example, right? 2-division world champion kickboxer, comes over, dominates, becomes a 2-division UFC champion as a striker, because every fight starts standing up. But if you don't know how to strike, every fight starts standing up. So the beginning of the fight is always something you're not good at. And if you're getting tagged at the very beginning of the fight, and now you're in desperation mode, and all this person has to do, it's an enormous space they're fighting in, the octagon. And the cage of the octagon actually makes it easier to get up if someone takes you down. So there's a lot of elements that wouldn't even exist if you had a flat surface with no walls. So it's easier to defend. It's easier to move around because it's an enormous surface. So you're now chasing this person, and you might have already gotten a concussion. You might have already been rocked. So you're already like a little out of it, and now you're like desperado mode. It's just a bad place to be. But you have to have world-class striking to compete at a world-class level in MMA at this point.
Yeah.
You have to have something. At the very least, you have to be really good defensively, really good. But then you're just going to get picked apart on the feet. Your legs are going to get kicked. You're going to get brutalized. Yeah, you have to be a really good striker. And Ryan is one of those guys that's a specialist, and he tapped a lot. I mean, he tapped BJ Penn in like 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. He's tapped a lot of guys. When he gets a hold of you, you're in this complex web of transitions and techniques that if you're just a regular MMA fighter who trains jiu-jitsu 3 times a week, you're not going to know what he's doing.
Yeah. He's a brilliant guy. He trained at our school in New York, I think 2010, 2012, that range. And it was so interesting watching him and Marcelo. Because Ryan had a huge amount of humility relative to Marcelo. And he wanted to train with him. And Marcelo was so curious about Ryan's game. But Marcelo never studied anyone's game. His core principle of Marcelo is if you study my game, you enter my game. No one will be better at my game than me. And so when in competition, guys would be studying tape of everybody. He would never study anyone's tape, never study anyone's fights. But he'd watch them, the fight before they went against him. And he'd pick up on some kind of elemental read. He has this, he's what I call a low rep learner. His ability to learn from a single repetition is just unbelievable. And it was really interesting watching him and Ryan. Ryan just came and visited me in my home a month ago. And we were talking about how formative those training experiences with Marcelo were. And it was like, one way that Ryan described it is that he had this like layers of traps, 7 steps in. But Marcelo had this deep understanding upstream of that. And it was like watching Marcelo put himself like right next to the fire, like right next to Ryan's game. He wanted to learn the edges of Ryan's game, but never enter it. And his ability to play right at the threshold of all of Ryan's traps, which he could pull almost everyone else into, in just pure grappling, right? But not just his ability to learn. It felt like a cat putting its paw right up against the edge of a fire, and just like learning about what heat was and deconstructing it, but then not ever getting into the heat. And you watch Ryan roll with anyone else, he just pulled them into the fire, into the spider web.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, Marcelo has a really incredibly deep, almost simian physical intelligence. His ability to learn from a single rep is unique in my observation.
That's amazing. Ryan has had a ton of surgeries, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, man, that dude has had such bad. Yeah.
What is wrong with him? What's going on?
Some shit tons of stuff with his knee, with his hip, I think he's starting to come. I think his shoulder's something now. He's still,
He's had like 9
I think
surgeries.
23. I think it was 23. I think he's had 23 surgeries. Dude is good. And the bad one happened when someone just falling on him in training.
What was that?
I don't know. That was a hip.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I haven't seen.
What did he get done to his hip?
Ask him. I'm not sure. Yeah, he's had a lot of surgery.
Someone just fell on him. So was he training with someone else and someone else fell
No,
on
he
him?
was training with somebody and he was taking it easy on them in a transition, trying to not hurt them, and then they just collapsed on him, on his hip in a certain way. Yeah.
When you were training, did you do any weightlifting just to sort of supplement it to keep your joints strong and your?
Yeah. I did a lot of. I tended to do weightlifting that was consistent with the movement patterns of the arts that I was training. So I would do a lot of biking, lower body strength, and then I would do. I think if I did it now, I would do much more weightlifting. But when I was rolling, usually twice a week, 6 days a week, and and I would do cardio work in addition, and then some resistance work. But I wasn't like I'm doing a lot of work with the Boston Celtics now, and I'm seeing how they're the last few years, and I see how they're upgrading their sports science team and their physical trainers are, and like I don't think that when I was training jiu-jitsu, I was at the level of, for example, the Boston Celtics in the resistance training that I was doing in supplementing. Yeah, and Marcelo didn't do weight training, and that was part of it. When I was training with him, we were like I was just
He
saying-
didn't weight train at all?
No.
How did he get
not at
those
all.
legs?
He just rolls, man. He was biking. He was resilient to bike into those bikes without brakes. We were biking all over New York.
Bikes without brakes?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What are they called?
Yeah.
What is that? Fixed wheel?
Yeah, fixed wheel. He just
What does that mean?
just
Got
no brakes.
How do you
all over
slow
the-
down?
You go slow.
And then he
died
left there and
coming
then
back.
died on the coming down.
Probably.
The other thing that I think is wild is Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay made a deal that they would reach the summit at the same time. Because it was like, who gets to the summit
Right,
first?
right.
And I mean, when you think about it, especially with racism back then, Edmund Hillary was a Kiwi. And, he must have been like, hey, brown guy, just carry the bags. I'm gonna get up there and you come up, get a picture of me, and then we'll do one together and then we'll head down. But they made a deal to go up together because they needed him that much.
Well, you definitely need those Sherpas can go all the way up there with no oxygen.
Those Sherpas will get locked on a ledge with a bunch of white people. The white people have to have helicopters come out and get them. A helicopter, I think, can only get to like 2,300 feet. 23,000 feet is like the safe zone. They'll come and get the white people out, and then the Sherpas are like, oh, we're going to walk down. We're good.
Yeah,
They'll hang out for like 7 days up there. And then I just heard a documentary about it, or a podcast. But those guys are so fucking good at it.
Also, they're so adapted to that climate. They
Yeah.
live up there. The adaptation is a big part of it, right? Because it takes a long time to be able to adapt to that low of an altitude, or high of an altitude, rather.
Look what
at
they're
that guy
carrying up.
carrying that shit on his back. That is crazy. Bro, I walk around with a 45-pound plate and I complain. That's so much shit. That guy must have legs of steel. How bad is his lower
I bet
back,
they all
though?
smoke.
I bet they smoke like a chimney.
Yeah.
Do they smoke? Do Sherpas smoke?
I just saw a
Let's Google
documentary on Netflix about the earthquake in.
Look at him smoking.
Eric Shipton.
Look at that guy. That's one of them early explorer type fellas. Click on that dude with the pipe. Yeah, look at that guy. Back in the day, man. No fucking internet. These guys had heard about it. They heard about it,
Yeah.
And we're gonna go. Probably saw a photo that one person took. I mean, back then, how many fucking people had photos?
The guy who figured out the height in like what fucking 30 in like turn of the century was an Indian guy or Nepalese. He figured out the height and he was within 30 feet of being correct just from distance and doing math. He was in 30 feet after satellite images came in.
Look at this. Everest pioneers packed 15,000 cigarettes
Holy shit!
despite low oxygen.
I bet they thought it was good for their lungs.
Well, people used to think that it was like an exercise for your lungs.
They did that with Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt's dad. Teddy Roosevelt had asthma.
That's right.
And his dad would make him smoke cigars with him in his lounge. He's like, it'll strengthen your lungs.
Yeah, I saw something like that where a doctor, and it was like an old-timey movie. God, who was it? Who was it? I think it was Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, who did Leonardo DiCaprio play in a movie? He played some famous, wealthy guy.
Howard Hughes.
That's right. And I think it was when Howard Hughes was young. He had bad lungs, and the doctor was prescribing cigarettes to him. God, I hope I'm not remembering this wrong. I may be. But I know that some doctors would recommend cigarettes to certain people that have certain lung issues,
Yeah.
which is so great.
I was the exact
They were
opposite.
so bad.
Oh, dude.
How bad was going to the doctor back then?
Oh, they were just guessing.
I mean, not just guessing, but guessing so wrong.
I asked my dad about the polio vaccine, and I go, did they have to run it by your parents? He goes, parents? They just took us into the gym and stuck everyone. I mean, they just were like, yo, we think this works.
What was there's a controversy yesterday when there was some sort of a hearing on whether or not they should ban sugar and candy from school lunches, or whether they should discourage sugar and candy. And it was something like the American Heart Association voted to not restrict the diets of kids. And everybody was like, what? What's going on? Like, let me get this right, because I was supposed to save this and I was on the phone and I didn't. See if you can find it, Jamie. But it was a conversation that was happening yesterday, and it was being shared on the internet where people are freaking out. Like,
And you're talking about school lunches, not like what your
I
parents.
don't remember correctly, unfortunately.
So there were restrictions,
I don't wanna
if I'm
fuck
not
this up.
mistaken, there were restrictions on what we could give our kids to school.
Really?
You couldn't just give them everything. You couldn't,
couldn't just
pack,
give them
like,
candy?
Couldn't give them candy.
Yeah, here it is. Trump officials want to ban junk food from SNAP, but past efforts show it's not easy. No, that's not it. That's the only thing coming up.
Yeah, it has to do with this, but I don't know what.
There was a video. Oh God, I want to say it was. Yeah, that's. I think that's the push, but there was resistance to it that I thought was crazy. God damn, I know I see it. Is that it? Okay, this is it. American Heart Association opposes SNAP's sugary food drink regulations. That's what it is. American Heart Association opposes a Texas bill that would restrict using SNAP benefits to purchase sugary drinks and processed snacks. Critics question if corporate funding influences the American Health Association's policies. The AHA's opposition has sparked criticism over its history of receiving funding from major food companies like PepsiCo and Coca-Cola, raising concerns about conflicts of interest. An AHA spokesperson said their position on the Texas legislation was miscommunicated. They say the organization has long favored the USDA using its authority to increase the consumption of healthy foods and decrease consumption of sugary drinks. So they changed their opinion, probably based on controversy. Okay, I often say, look at this. During the hearing, lawmakers and public health advocates voiced their opinions. State Senator Lois Kolkhorst expressed shock over AHA's opposition during the hearing. I often say that I can never be surprised in this building, but for the American Heart Association to be against this bill, that might be the surprise of the session so far. That's kind of weird that they would, I mean, it doesn't even make sense. That's obviously not good for you.
No.
Like, why would they encourage that or change it? Like, what would be their? I forget what their argument was.
Is it like a classist argument?
I don't know.
Is it? Because it seems like a classist thing. When you go to Whole Foods, it's different than going to Ralph's or Vaughn's.
This is what it says. Puente testified the AHA was concerned about the bill's potential impact on SNAP participation. He also emphasized the importance of educating the public about healthy eating instead of restricting purchases. See, but that seems weird. Like, what better way to encourage healthy eating than say, you're not going to starve. You can get food, but you can't buy shit. You can go buy hamburgers.
But where does this
buy,
line draw the line? I'm just thinking, like, the other day I was in traffic and I thought, I can't believe they still let people ride motorcycles, because people die all the time. And they cut
They die in
lanes.
cars too, though.
Yeah, but in motorcycles, like, I'm getting one, and my wife's like, "That's
You
how
are
you're."
getting
Oh
one?
yeah, fuck yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Because
You just
Harley
said-
reached out,
Oh, don't.
and they were like, "Come on, bro,
Not
you want
in California,
dude,
buddy.
just for late night."
Drive out here.
Late night.
Late nights when the crackheads are
Oh, I'll
out.
tell you what, I'll leave it here if I can leave it at your studio.
Yeah, leave
and
it
then
here.
this will be my Austin bike.
Oh,
I'm
you're
coming
gonna
to
have
Austin.
another bike.
I'm
You're
coming
gonna
to
have an Austin bike and a fucking this motherfucker. Yeah, you can park
I'm coming
here.
out to Austin for like two weeks in June.
Nice.
Get ready for my tour.
Your kids have left the nest.
My
It's time
dude.
to bail, my brother.
Buddy, I'm living with one person every day, all fucking day.
Wild.
I know, we do everything together.
Come here. You don't need to be in that bullshit state.
The
There's no need for that anymore.
The
Blood
mothership's
pressure.
just such a
Sell
great-
your fucking house.
it's such a
Let's
great
go.
place to do stand up. It's such a great vibe right there.
It's a
right
great
now.
place to hang.
Oh, dude,
fun.
I went over there after our party by South by, and just got fucking lit. Tony, Shane,
It's a fun place, man.
called it early. But I told Leanne, I said, I'm gonna do like a week in Oxnard. I was gonna do a little run on my tour bus. I said, I think I'm gonna take my tour bus to Austin. Just stay here for like a week, 2 weeks.
It's a good place to fuck around and do new stuff too.
It is.
Especially in the little room. That little room is just
I can't tell you how valuable it is to have phones in yonder pouches.
Comedy Store's doing that now. Yeah, Peter Shore told me.
Really?
Yeah, I was so
Not 2
I'm
weeks
like,
ago.
That is amazing. Really?
I don't think so.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Maybe it was longer. I don't know. Last time I was there, I said some wild shit.
Oh no! And
Yeah.
it get out?
I don't know.
You can't practice.
You can't
You
fucking
gotta be
say.
able to practice.
And it's the
part of
snitches.
practicing.
It's the snitches that want you to say. It's almost like it's the fucking cunts that you.
They can't help it because you can get so many likes.
Yeah,
Like,
and I'm like,
if
bitch,
you
you
have a-
want this comedy.
Right, but if you put something, you say something wild on stage and it's funny and they laugh, you could take that and put it on your Instagram and you get 2 million views. And that's just too tempting for people.
Oh.
We bust people with those meta glasses. Yeah, they try to come in with their fucking Ray-Bans on and film things. Those meta glasses are amazing. My friend Jimmy, who works for the UFC, had them on the other day. Upon arrival at the venue, all phones secured in Yonder bags.
Is this the store?
Yes, Comedy Store.
December 10th?
Yep, 2024. Nice. They just forgot. Or maybe it was a comic who had his phone out. Some
Maybe.
comic threw you down the river.
Fucking.
That happens.
Oh.
There's a lot of cunty comics, especially
There's
like.
a lot of cunty comics. I'm starting to think that's all they got. Buddy, do you ever, hey Joe, do you ever, this is what makes me crazy.
What makes you crazy, bro? Crazy.
Do you ever be friends with someone and then all of a sudden realize you've been competing the whole time, but you didn't know you were in a competition?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Inspired by is a better way to look at life. Competing is just not good
I've
for
never
you.
once competed with another comic. I've been inspired by so many fucking comics.
That's good. You have a healthy mindset. But I think our whole group has a healthy mindset. you
I
know?
think so.
Yeah, we don't have any cunts. We don't have any jealous, bitter cunts in the group of people that we're hanging with.
I mean,
That's so important.
I hung with Chappelle one night, and he just called. I was in Dayton. He was like, "Yeah, why don't you come out? We'll party." And I was like, "Cool." And then we went out and partied. And I kind of forget what a fan I am of his, of like how great he is. I mean, his kicker in the pussy joke might be one of my favorite jokes ever that's ever been written. It's so fucking dope.
No, he's a great comic, but he's a great human.
He's a great human.
He's a fun hang. Like, he's a genuine sweetheart of a guy.
I was with him right before I shot the special, and I said to him, "We're fucking lit, right?" And I go, "Yo, Dave, I don't want to talk shop. I just want to hang, but I gotta say, you're the greatest to ever do it. I'm getting ready to shoot my special. I just would love a little bit of your insight of what you think, like how you prepare for one." Chappelle lights a cigarette, and he's like, "All right, how many shows?" I said 6. He goes, "Perfect." And then he breaks down. I'm not going to do it because it's Dave's secret. It's Dave's thing. He shared. I don't want to. But
Up until 15, I would relate to myself as the pre-conscious user. I love chess. It was free flowing. I love the battle. I love the competition. I love the ass kicking and the kicking ass. I just love the fucking battle of the thing. And then I fell in love for the first time when I was 15. The movie came out after that, and I started studying existentialist literature. I started reflecting on the absurdity of it all. I started to become present with the fact that these were just 64 squares and 32 pieces. Like, I was spending my life studying this fucking box, wooden box, like the construct, the absurdity of being stuck in that construct became clear to me. And then I was becoming more and more self-conscious about how what I was doing was perceived by others, and I got lost in all of that. And in many ways, like, the journey, like some people don't run into that for a long time. Like, there are some chess players that just become insanely strong without ever reflecting on the absurdity of the fact that they're just playing chess. And that's a great liberation. Like, that the moment you become aware of the fact that you're mortal, that you can get your ass kicked, that your arm can break, that you can die, that what you're doing is absurd, like, you get locked up by that knowledge.
Right.
Like, and there's so many different forms that can take. Or the moment you, like, for example, Boston Celtics, you're hungering to win a world championship, and then you win the NBA Finals. Suddenly, everything changes. Your relationship, your motivation changes. All the reasons you're doing it are no longer valid in some ways, because now you've accomplished the thing you always dreamed of, and you have to discover. It's true in any form of competition or art, in my experience, is that there comes a moment where someone's consciousness becomes more complicated, and they can't just return to the innocence they had before, because now you can't do that. You can't put it back in the box.
Right.
It's out. So then you have to work through that journey, which is a lot of what I did from, like, my late teenage years, leaving, studying philosophy, and then moving into other fields, and started relating to art in a way that was integrating that self-awareness, integrating that sense of mortality. It's like when a very powerful example of this was I drowned in a pool, I guess like 9-10 years ago. I was doing hypoxic breath work, Wim Hof training in a pool.
Christ.
And never do Wim Hof training. Everybody, please, in a pool, because you're flushing the CO2 from your body, but CO2 is what gives you the urge to breathe. So without carbon dioxide in your being, you don't feel the urge to breathe. So I'd been a lifetime free diver, spearfishing, from when I was 5, 6 years old, but I was never doing hypoxic breath work before freediving. So if you're diving 80, 90, 100 feet, you're not flushing the CO2 from your body before you do so. So you still have that sense for when you need to breathe. But I was in a NYU pool. I was just swimming 50 meters back and forth underwater, and then doing this hypoxic breath work in between. And then my last recollection is being stretched out in bliss, those tingles through your body you get from. Have you done Wim Hof training?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those tingles.
Mm-hmm.
I had those fucking tingles, and then I woke up 30 minutes later. What happened was that I blacked out. I was in the bottom of the pool for over 4 minutes after blacking out from shallow water blackout.
Oh my God.
Which should be 45 seconds to a minute, and you should be brain dead or dead because you're post shallow water blackout. I know the time it was because there was an old man at the pool who saw me in the bottom of the pool and swam one lap, and his laps were a little bit over a minute. Swam a second lap. After his third lap, he said, I'll check on him if he's still down. He thought I was holding my breath, but I was only holding my breath while swimming, so if I was still, I was fucking out. His fourth lap, after his fourth lap, he pulled me up. I was blue.
Oh
my whole body was blue. My head was red. My body saved me. My training saved me and almost killed me. Sent all the blood to my brain. My eyes were blown out red, like bloodshot for 3 weeks that followed. And I remember waking up and having this thing around me. Fuck, what's going on, guys? What's the drama? And I realized I was the fucking drama. And I spent that night in the hospital going through old chest variations, trying to test my brain. Is my brain ruined? Do I remember things? Somehow my brain, maybe it's fucked up, but it seems like to be working pretty well. And
wow.
But I can't. And that was also a big part of me realizing I had to spend my life in the ocean, because I could feel the potential for some PTSD response. I could actually feel the potential trauma response, like a cloud that was washing over me. I could see the cloud coming, and I just fucking decided not to let it in. And I got back in the water the next day. And I just fucking, I think that's a big part of my relationship with the ocean, is having died in water. I need to spend my life in the water.
Did you have any sort of out-of-body experience or anything while you were gone?
What's really fucked up about it is no. That's what's really wild. It went just black. That's what's crazy, is that I went, my last memory is of just tingles and bliss, and then waking up. And so if I hadn't been pulled out, there would have been no flash, no seeing my life pass before my eyes, no tunnel on the other side, nothing. You know what's really fucking wild though, is that many years later, I was doing this, this guy Brandon Powell is a brilliant guy who's a top Wim Hof trainer and a trainer of trainers, these guys. And I was doing some retreats with teams of mine, and we were doing some Wim Hof work. And he had this methodology of kind of accelerated hypoxic work where he said, I'm not sure if it's true, but he said release DMT in your body, inhibited the DMT inhibitors in your body. And I did these journeys with him twice through pure breath work, no psychedelics. And I experienced these 2 times, months apart. One time, I experienced the center of my consciousness as my busted disc. And I experienced the world through the electrical connections emerging from my L4, L5. It's very strange. And the other one was the only memory I have of that, and I'm not sure if this is accurate or some kind of illusion, but I saw the drowning experience from above, the whole thing. I watched the 20 minutes that I was on the bottom of the pool, and then up 25 minutes, and then on the pool deck, and I saw the whole thing from above. But that was years after it happened. So I can't explain that.
Were all the people there? Same people?
I don't know. My memory of it consciously from what actually happened is so fuzzy, right? Because I just died and went back, and then I saw it from above. I think I was mostly focused on the memory of myself. Yeah, so I relate to myself now like I've died, and I'm living, and I live with a sense of gratitude and commitment. It's a big part of why we moved to the jungle with my family. So I emerged from that with a commitment to living life as beautifully and deeply and truly as I possibly could, and to not really miss it. just all in.
Isn't it fascinating that sometimes it's the same thing as like loss propels you to a next level. Even the moment in life where you realize it all could just go away like that.
So fucking fast. Instantly.
fast.
No warning. Just
Yeah.
gone.
No warning.
I've done so many stupid fucking things, like in these extreme sports I've done. You know, like so many times I almost died free diving, or. But that one was different.
Yeah.
Because there was like I didn't. It was just the crazy thing was just a technical blind spot. I just didn't know this thing about carbon dioxide. I didn't know I was taking a risk in that moment. I thought I was just taking a swim.
Did you learn from other people who do Wim Hof breathing when they swim?
After
Or did you
before?
No, before.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like, who
No.
taught you to do this?
Nobody. I did Wim Hof breathing on land, and I was like, you know, if I can
Oh,
do it,
boy.
I'll do it fucking on the swim right now. Sounds like a great idea.
I think other people have done that and died.
Yeah, they have. And most people who die from shallow water blackout are highly trained Navy SEALs because they're very good at inhibiting the urge to breathe. You can get too good at it, or you can just not feel it at all.
The ocean is such a fascinating thing. It's so alive. It's just a strange thing when you get in the ocean if you haven't been for a while. You climb in and you feel it moving around you and pulling, and the water just feels different. It feels like it's a living thing. Like you're in you dunk your head under and you look at this world that's 3/4 of the surface of the earth. And it's so vibrant, and you see people that are surfers that just get drawn into its spell, and it just becomes a part of their life is to ride that energy and to feel it, and the addiction that they get from it. Guys like Laird, now guys like you. I know so many people that they like Jocko. He won't leave San Diego. He doesn't even want to be in California. Yes, but San Diego's the ocean for him. He has to be by the ocean.
Yeah, you can't dominate the ocean. You have to receive.
Yeah.
And if you have any brittleness in your ego, she will kick your ass until you just blend.
I know you're you're in favor of optimizing training and finding ways to learn things quicker. Would wave surf pools, those crazy ones like Kelly Slater style wave surf pools where they have, that would give you like way more reps, right?
If you're surfing, for sure. Wave pools have revolutionized surf training. 'Cause for foiling, you have the ocean.
Listening.
Your draw length's probably 29 and a half, maybe 30 inches. Mine's 28. So I used to have 28 and a half, and then I dropped it down to 28, and I adjusted a few things, and I feel like the more tension at the end, like the further back you are, like I know guys who want extra energy, and so they're what's called overdrawn. So they maybe should have a 27-inch draw, but they have a 29-inch draw, and they have their release way back here.
Wow.
So they're shooting things totally different. You would never tell anybody to do that,
Yeah.
but some guys get really good doing that, and then they just stick with it. Like it's all about repeatability. But Cam taught me, like Cam he's smaller than, his draw is a little bit smaller than mine. His is 27, and he had a longer draw. He started out with a longer draw as well, but then for him, the ultimate thing is accuracy. And he's like, when your bow is more tense, more taut, and there's more tension on it, if it's a shorter draw length, you're more accurate. You want to get it perfect.
Yeah.
You want to exactly what your frame is. And for me, it seems like 28 inches is the right number.
I had one of my most manly moments of my entire life in that fucking bow store.
Yeah, it's a very manly place.
Dude, Cam's like, they had me set for like 40-pound, bow.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, okay. And he was like, I go, what do you guys shoot? Like you and Rogan. He was like 80 pounds, I think. Is like what he said.
90.
Oh, okay, so it's
Yeah,
90.
yeah,
So
he
Cam
was-
goes, I go, is that one tough to pull back? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, can I try? And he was like, okay. So he pulls it and brings it over. All the bow guys are there. So I hang it and I pull it back. And Cam goes, hold on, hang on. Takes the bow off and he puts it and he measures it. And he's like, there's no way he did that. And he measured the test. He goes, God damn it. He goes, all right, let's move on to 69.
You're a strong dude, man. You were talking about how you bench press. What are you bench pressing now? 315?
325.
325 for how many?
Just one.
That's impressive. That's a lot of
Yeah.
weight. It's dangerous for your shoulders, though. That's why I don't like it.
It's not sustainable, and there's no reason to do it because as I did it, I gained weight. Like I gained
You got
10
bulky.
pounds. Yeah, like this is gonna sound so silly, and you know me so well that you're gonna laugh when I say this, but like my jackets weren't fitting.
No, I'm sure.
Like
you got thick for a
my
while.
shoulders and my chest and my biceps, my triceps, everything in the jacket just wouldn't fit.
A year ago when you were at the club, I was calling you Jack Burke. Remember?
Yeah,
I was like, 'cause you went on stage. I go, dude, you look different now. It's not as funny when you
Yeah.
take your shirt off because I'm like, he's fucking jacked. You look like a football player. You look like like a Tank Abbott. That's what you look like.
Tank
a big
Abbott was a bad
bouncer.
motherfucker.
He was a bad motherfucker.
I was pretty skinny in the special. Not skinny, but like I was in good shape in the special. Tanned, really tanned.
Yeah.
Special outfit.
Bro, Tank Abbott, he put like UFC on the map.
Dude, that early generation of guys were so charismatic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you look like Frank, what's his name?
Shamrock.
Frank Shamrock.
Oh, yeah.
Hoist Gracie.
Oh, yeah.
Tank Abbott.
Ken Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock. Dude,
Yeah.
that was like,
Yeah.
that was like the
Don
who's-
Fry. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, where were we just at the other day? I was at UFC with my wife, and I was saying to her, she was like, so
So that was her first one live.
oh yeah.
Have you seen one? You saw one live at the Apex.
I saw
right?
one live at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That was a good one too.
Yeah, but I bought the tickets, so we sat up in the nosebleeds.
That made me angry. I don't ever buy tickets.
I know, but I'm never gonna ask you
Let
for something.
me know.
I get angry when people ask you for shit because you're so generous with everyone
Yeah, that doesn't.
that I feel bad. You called and you said, "Do you want tickets?" And I was like, first of all, you're like, "Are you going to UFC?" And I was like, "I'm not gonna say. I don't want to sound."
When you told me
like,
you were going to slap fight, I'm like, okay, you're here.
yeah,
Like I didn't know if you were set up yet.
no, and I wasn't gonna ask Dana for tickets. And then you're like, "Oh, let me get you tickets." And then you go, "UFC's got better tickets." Dude, that was a fucking fever dream that night. It was me and Theo. I
Yeah.
don't think I've laughed harder with an individual in my fucking life.
No, there's no one better than Theo for. Can you get that
Yeah.
lighter? For a hang,
Dude.
Just talking shit, being silly.
It was me, him, and my wife the whole time. They were like, because we went to Slap Fight together, then we went to UFC together, sat next to Taylor, sat next to Max Crosby, sat next to Mel Gibson, Taylor Sheridan. Look at that, Mario Lopez.
What a fucking crew.
The
Look at
guys are
that.
like Max and Taylor
What
Lewan.
a fucking crew.
Taylor Lewan's the one who did me the bench press bet with.
Oh,
Him
no
and Bustin'
shit.
with the boys. He was like, he saw me try to get 300. He was like, "You can't get 300."
Bro, we went gambling with him and Jamie and Shane and and Dana White in Vegas, and I watched him beat down. Dana was betting for him. Dana was telling him what to bet, and they have this system. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's up. He's up like a considerable amount of money
Yeah.
over the course of all the times they've been gambling. But they gamble heavy.
Very.
And Jamie and I were getting severe anxiety.
Dude.
They were down $125,000 in the first 5 minutes. Do you remember that? How scary was it?
I was like, I'll jump in with you guys. He's like, don't.
Dude, it's, I was like, let me get a marker, I'll hop out. Now, I've never gotten a marker. I got a marker one time with Tommy for,
What do you have to do? Do you have to give him your credit card?
they've got to do a fucking bank transfer. It takes a long time to get a marker.
A bank transfer?
Unless you've done it
In
before.
Vegas?
Yeah, dude, it took me an hour and a half to get a fucking marker.
How do you get a bank transfer in the middle of the night? You have to call your bank?
I don't think you can get a marker unless you've already had that established earlier.
And you had
I-
established?
No, I had it. Me and Tommy were there, and Tommy's like, "Get a marker." So I was like, "Okay." So I asked for a marker, and it took forever. They had to go through my financial guy, and then they came in.
Financial guys around in Vegas?
They called him. They called
At
him.
home?
At work. It was like Tommy
What
and I
time
were
is it?
Tommy and I were doing it when we did the Super Bowl like 2 years ago.
Oh, so it was daytime.
It was daytime.
Oh, okay.
And so Tommy had already
Jesus
gotten his marker, and it took me forever to get a marker. I got a $50,000 marker, and dude, I got so nervous. I bet $1,000, lost 300, and I was like, "I'm done." I was such a
just
pussy.
remember being poor too well. I do.
It's not gambling's not fun unless it sparkles. Unless
Right.
there's like
Terror.
unless there's terror.
Yeah.
It's not fun when you're like,
$20,
Yeah.
$50. Exactly.
I gotta bet 50,000, all of that money on something to feel it. But I love the feeling, but the feeling's not worth it to lose the money.
Yeah.
The losing the money, holy shit.
Dana White, when we got there, what was he down? $600,000? Yeah, he was down $600,000. And he stayed all night, and he was there till like 5 o'clock in the morning, and he got it back and was up $600,000 when he left.
He gambles.
He
And he
goes-
plays Baccarat.
He does blackjack.
Baccarat too. That's his new
Does it?
game. Tommy and I did a podcast with him. And
Got more.
what's that?
$500,000.
Oh, What is? I don't even know what that is. What is baccarat? I know the name.
I think it's like a Chinese blackjack.
Oh, if I had to like, it was on a quiz show. Someone explained baccarat. I'd be like, fuck. I should fucking know that.
Ricky Tiki Tavi? I don't know.
I know what craps is. I know how that works. I don't know how it works. No, I do not know like the rules, like what is the cum line and all that shit. I don't know what
craps.
I know what it is. I know
Craps is
people
just
throw-
a simple game.
They throw the dice, but
Yeah.
all the cum and the fucking lines. And
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh, craps is simple. Really, honestly, craps is a very.
It's not simple.
Yeah, but it's basically roll the dice. Whatever that number is, you just got to roll it again. And then
That's it.
everyone gets to bet on whether you're not going to roll it, whether you are going to roll it, and then they can bet on the other numbers that you might roll before you roll your second number. And then there's two rolls that get you out. And then if you roll those at the beginning, you get money. It's a simple game, technically. Not as simple as blackjack, but
And that's
baccarat.
a good one that you get your wife to kiss the dice and you throw it.
Oh,
You get
yeah.
her to throw it for you, and she gets on a hot streak.
Dude, we got on a hot streak on a boat one time. Me and my buddy Cowhead and our buddy Pete, and we were rolling hot, and fucking people were making a lot of money. We're talking, I'm on my 20th roll, and I'm hitting them and hitting them and hitting them, and I grab them one time, I go to roll, and the dealer guy hits my hands with the fucking stick. And I go, what? And he goes, miss roll. And I go, whoa. And then I rolled crapped out of 7. And I was like, fuck that. I go, fuck that. And then the guy goes, all right, I'm out. And he just clocked out and walked away. And me and my buddy Pete made him apologize to us.
Why did he say it was a bad roll?
They try to fuck up your flow. They don't want your flow to fucking,
Oh, they don't want you to stay hot.
yeah, you're hot, let's fuck it up.
What is this?
World record shit for 4.5 hours straight.
What?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of money and the energy at that table would have been
Insane.
bonkers.
The fun is the shit you say as you roll the
4
dice.
hours and 18 minutes later, Tomorrow had rolled a world record for craps rolls. She rolled 154 times. The odds of accomplishing this are 1 in 1.56 trillion.
Do you know how much money she made the people at that table?
What does that mean? So she rolled the same number every time?
No, it means that she didn't roll a 7 after her come out roll for that many rolls. She may have rolled a 7, but if you roll a 7 on your come out roll, then you get paid.
See, this is why it's confusing. They try to pretend it's not confusing.
No,
It's not confusing. Yeah, but you have to do it once
You
or
have to do
twice.
it a
You have to
couple
lose a little
times.
bit of money, and
I'm
then
not
you kind
fucking
of sort of.
interested.
Baccarat's the rough
I'm
one.
so not interested.
Dana said, he goes, take out, I think he said $275,000 marker to me and Tommy. He's like, and I was going to be in Vegas. He goes, Bert, take out a $275,000 marker. Come play Baccarat with me. I'll double your money. And I was like, if you just,
Nay.
dude,
Nay, sir.
Tom's like, do it, and Leanne wouldn't let me do it. She's like, no fucking way. You're gonna lose it, and he's gonna be like, I didn't see that coming.
Or you're gonna get addicted to doing that, and you're gonna want to do it all the time. That's what she sees coming.
Dude.
She sees it coming like she sees everything else. She's like, no, big guy, give me those pills.
I got the ick on all of it.
Yeah, she's right. She's right. I mean, look, Danny's got a lot of money. He makes a lot of money. He can do that. He likes doing that. It works somehow or another. It wouldn't work for me.
No.
It's not my thing.
It's not my thing.
But for some people, he loves living in Vegas. He loves playing.
He loves Vegas.
Loves it. Loves it. He's got the town wired. Why wouldn't he love it? The sport's there all the time. We got the UFC PI there, so there's fights there almost. Every month there's a fight at the Apex, at least.
Can I tell you the craziest experience of that whole thing, other than meeting Mel Gibson, which was a dream? He was the sweetest guy.
He's a nice guy.
He was a nice guy. I told you I met him on the plane and
Yeah.
flying here.
Yeah.
And then he walked by me. Like when we left at the plane, he's like, maybe I'll see you this weekend. I was like, hopefully. And then when he walked into UFC, he came over, grabbed my leg. He's like, what's up, big guy? And I was like, ah. And the guys next to me are like, Mel Gibson? And I was like, yeah. But the coolest,
way back.
coolest part was the fucking guy, Ari Emanuel. Watching the character from Entourage be himself, because I sat right behind him, and he's the guy.
He's much more reasonable.
But he's still a character.
Oh, he's definitely a character. Yeah,
We
nice
walked-
guy.
He's a nice guy. Him and Peter Berg were right in front of me and Leanne.
I love that dude.
Peter Berg's
Peter Berg's great.
shit.
Have you been watching American Primeval?
Of course. Fuck me.
Fuck.
God.
Yeah.
Peter Berg's a great dude, and he was a great actor. Do you remember Aspen
yeah.
Extreme?
Yeah. He was great in the show too. He's great in American Primeval. He's great. He's been in a bunch of movies, but I think like he really shines as a filmmaker. You know.
Wait, what's the TV show Gary Oldman's in right now? Not Black Doves.
Oh, yeah.
It's an Apple. Joe, this is the best damn show out there.
Apple's making some banging shows. Man.
Slow Horses. Have you seen it?
No.
Joe,
Yeah?
Slow Horses is Gary Oldman's best work yet, in my opinion.
Really?
He is so fucking good, and it is such a great show.
Damn, Slow Horses on Netflix.
It's what's great about these shows.
Oh no, on Apple.
Like the English or Slow Horses or Black Doves, is there's 6 episodes, but it's a 6-episode arc. So it's not just like episodic like we remember like old dramas being where the whole thing happened in the hour and then
Right.
and then you never have to watch that again. Brand new one, the whole thing happens in an hour. There are these episode arcs where it starts off telling a story and you pay out by the last episode, much like Peaky Blinders.
Right.
Peaky Blinders they were great standalone episodes, but that episode, it was so addictive.
Yeah.
That's what the streamers have changed the way we're taking in content, because if you start Slow Horses tonight, you'll watch all 6, and then you'll be like, honey, we're watching all of these tomorrow.
Really?
It's so fucking good.
Oh, Gary Oldman's awesome.
Gary Oldman,
He's
and
the third best vampire movie. Is his Dracula.
oh, his Dracula.
His Dracula was very good. It was very good.
Wait, are you a Dracula guy?
Love Dracula. Yeah.
Who you like more, Dracula or the werewolf?
Werewolves. They're the most fun. The most fun. Like just some poor dude.
Yeah.
He's like the moon changes. Like fuck. Ah! And just waking up covered in blood. Like what happened? Like, the idea of it is just so crazy. I always loved werewolf movies.
What happened to Benicio del Toro's
That
werewolf?
was a good one.
I never
It was
saw
good. It just petered out. There was some real great moments in it. We played it a bunch of times, but the one when they're in the theater, the medical theater, and he's trying to convince this guy that the guy's insane. He's like, "I'm here to show you that he will not turn into a wolf. He thinks he will." You know, and so they have him strapped up. It's like, "I'm going to kill you all." His body starts fucking. It's an amazing transformation scene. But Rick Baker did that film. The same guy that did American Werewolf in London. Yeah, it's the werewolf that we have in the lobby. That's the greatest werewolf movie of all time.
Yeah.
No question. Because it's John Landis. It's actually funny. There's funny moments in it. It's really fucking good. It's a good movie. They did a great job of only showing the wolf like a little bit, so you're really scared when you actually see it. They don't like get you numb to the thing being there. So this is the theater scene. He starts changing. So this is like they did a combination of CGI and makeup. So the thing about CGI is like right there, that's CGI. CGI, you kind of know it's CGI. There's the uncanny valley effect, right?
Yeah.
And so when he fully transforms in the scenes where he's attacking people, he's an actor, he's Benicio del Toro, but with all these prosthetics on. And it looks much more realistic, like the way it moves, the way it behaves. Like when he goes after these people, it seems, well, go back up so you can see it rip the guy's heart out. Oh, he threw the dude through the window. Just back up a little bit before that is when he tears the guy apart. Look at this.
Oh my God.
See, so when it's a dude in a costume with all the fur on it, the way it moves is just, they can't quite fix that.
In CGI?
It's not quite there.
Yeah.
It still gives you that thing where there's a suspension of disbelief. But when they use, when they use makeup, like they did in American Werewolf in London, and like the transformation scene in American Werewolf in London, do you remember that one?
Oh yeah.
The guy's in the bedroom,
Yeah.
or in the living room, and he just starts fucking, and his back pops up and stretches out and starts getting
And
covered
aren't
in
they
hair.
playing like CCR in that?
Yeah. I think it's Bad Moon.
Werewolf in London.
No, I think it's Bad Moon on the Rise. There's a bad moon on the rise.
God damn.
Yeah.
I could use a new werewolf. You know what they were doing?
They're doing it. The guy who did Nosferatu is going to do a werewolf movie now.
No shit. They were gonna do a series of all the horror movies, and it started with The Mummy with Tom Cruise. They had one set up for Johnny Depp.
But the Mummy with Tom Cruise is not the Mummy, the scary Mummy from like when we were kids.
Yeah, but they were all reimagined. Like
Yeah.
I took a meeting with that whatever that studio was, and cause they always wanted a comedic actor in it. For the one that in The Mummy, it was Jake. Jake, guy, he's such a great actor, and I'm fucking flaking on his name. He was in New Girl. Jake Johnson. Jake Johnson's funny as shit. He is a great actor, and he was the comedic relief in The Mummy. And they were going to do that with each of them. So they had one set up for Johnny Depp. They had a set up for big stars. Everyone was getting their own.
Wasn't it Brandon Fraser originally?
He was in the original Mummy.
Original.
Yeah, and then it was The Rock,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
and then it was Tom Cruise.
I love Brandon Fraser's revival. Isn't it amazing?
Dude.
Isn't it great when a guy comes back, and not just comes back, but comes back and kills it in a movie, and then like has this like heartfelt speech where he's like tearing up and crying, and like everybody loves him again.
Yeah.
Like, that must have felt awful for that guy. He was this giant movie star. He was in all these giant films, and then for whatever reason, he just kind of like faded away.
He got me too.
Is that what happened?
But by a dude. A dude tried to fucking touch him, and he stood up to the guy and was like, "Hey man, you go fuck yourself." And the guy's like, "I'll ruin your career." Obviously my memory is whatever the fuck it is, but yeah, he came out and he said, I was blackballed because I got fucking called a dude out.
Let's find out if that's true.
Yeah, find out if that's
Otherwise,
true.
We might have to edit that out.
Allegedly.
Allegedly is a great word.
But it's crazy. I saw something with Mickey Rourke.
That's
Yeah.
what he said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mickey Rourke said he hadn't worked for 13 years. And Mickey Rourke was the man.
Oh,
Pope of
dude.
Greenwich Village.
Oh, Angel Heart? Remember
Angel
that?
Heart, shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
dude. Mickey Rourke was a beast.
Didn't he do the one with the ice cube on the stomach, the Blue Dream or Blue?
Right, with Kim Basinger.
Where
What
he
was
like,
that?
and it was like
Right,
the
a
ultimate
super
sex scene.
movie.
And it was
What
like
was-
they what was it called?
Wild Orchid.
Wild Orchid, I
Yeah,
think.
that was crazy.
But he said I saw an interview with him, and he said he hadn't worked in 13 years. He was down on his money. All
Oh,
he
I
had
saw
was
that.
his motorcycles and his clothes. He dressed himself up one night, took himself out for a bowl of spaghetti, and it's all the money he had. Fucking Sylvester Stallone walked by, and he's like, "Hey man, where you been?" He's like, "Just been out." He was like, "You want to work in a movie?" He's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "That one movie paid 6 months of my rent, and it was his comeback."
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke's always been a badass.
He was awesome.
I bought clothes because I saw what he was wearing on a Sunday. He had on the coolest fucking outfit. And it's so silly, but he had like Adidas track pants. This had to be like 2001. Adidas track pants with the white Adidas shoes and a wife beater. And he was putting cases of Heineken in the back of a Cadillac DTS. And I was watching him from across the street. And I was like, I'm getting those pants. I'm getting those shoes. Puma shoes, Adidas pants, and a fucking wife beater. And I dressed like that, hoping someone would be like, dude, that's a badass outfit. No one ever said it to me.
You know what's a great... I would have said it.
Thank you.
You know what's a great movie that people slept on, they forgot about with him? Chinatown.
Wait, is he in Chinatown?
Now, what was it called? It wasn't... Chinatown was Jack Nicholson, but there was another... There was a Chinatown... God damn it. Year of the Dragon. Year of the Dragon.
What's Year of the Dragon?
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Which one's Year of the Dragon?
Year of the Dragon is... He's a cop. He's like a dirty cop in this Chinese mob film. It's really good, man. It's really good. What year is this? 85. So I was in fucking high school, man. Wow. This is the year I graduated high school. It's a good movie, though, man. Real good movie. It might not hold up. Really hot Chinese lady falls in love with her.
It's crazy when you see your heroes get older, you know? Like Harrison Ford, to see him now and be like, God, man.
He's great in that 1923 show, though. Have you been watching that?
Oh, is this Taylor's show?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
He's great.
Oh, this is the one I just saw. Yeah, we were talking
I
about
just
that.
watched
at dinner.
episode 4 last night. He's great in that.
He's the man. You know, they said the rumor is they were going to cast Tom Selleck as Han Solo. Did you hear this?
Yeah, he was a carpenter.
He was. Mark Hamill told me the story.
Yeah.
And he
Did
was
he
like,
really?
yeah. He said they were having Harrison read with everyone. So, because he was like, great actor, but he was also a carpenter. And then like, you just read sides with people as they audition. So he read with Carrie, he read with Mark, he read with everyone. They were going to cast Tom Selleck. And at the last minute, they said, I don't know, man. Something about Tom Selleck isn't dangerous. There's something dangerous about Harrison Ford. And there is.
Really working.
Dude, he was, yeah. And I just watched all 3 Raiders of the Lost Ark the other night. And he is fucking funny.
Oh,
he's
great.
Cool.
Do you know that scene where the guy pulls out the sword, starts swinging around, and just shoots him?
Yeah.
He improvised that?
I just think I think that's the most important thing. Because everything that we're feeding in, I've never been on social media. I made that decision a long time.
Really? When did you make it?
I was never on it. I made it when first. I remember when like MySpace came out. Like,
What did you think at the time?
fuck that.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't. It felt off to me. It felt like something I didn't want to be involved with. I'm not saying that I was prescient and I saw everything that would happen, but I never. There was some people who were impersonating me on social media, but I was never on any form of social media. And
Good for you.
yeah, I mean,
I'm on everything but TikTok.
TikTok is fucked. It's hilarious. I was when I was flying here, I was listening to your conversation with Tristan Harris whilst the dude next to me was scrolling TikTok on the plane, and it was amazing listening to this dialogue here and watching him just like
Watching it happen
An
again.
hour and a half straight. Just like, boom, boom. It was incredible. I've never actually seen someone fucking do that. It was the most brainless thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's so brainless.
It's
and
brutal
so addictive.
and so manipulative. Like
Yep.
it can just this like it can
Yep.
guide you to anything. Why don't we? It's one thing I kind of disagreed with you on this talk, where you were saying that you just don't think that humans are going to do anything about it until we're forced to. But I don't know, man. I think that what if we just wake the fuck up and take ourselves off of this thing that can be used to steer us anywhere this other humans or AI wants to steer us? Like, why don't we just remove ourselves from it?
Well, that's a very rational perspective.
Let's just fucking
but
do it,
most
though.
people aren't rational.
But why don't we help people be rational and just
You
get
have
the
to
fuck off it?
change the whole way they interface with life. And that's a big ask. It's not as simple as logically social media is bad for you, I'll stay off. This small dopamine hit that you get from opening up reels, just scrolling through and seeing people get knocked out and car accidents and big boobs, that is, for whatever reason, much more compelling than the idea of possessing autonomy. And the idea of, having the ability to completely remove yourself from the thing that everyone's addicted to, which is likes and engagement and getting an outrage. The algorithm showing you things over and over again that outrage you. It's so compelling to people. We're so averse to being bored that at any time when nothing's going on, you pick up your phone, you start scrolling. At any time, you just get nonsense just fed into your head at any time.
Think about like the first time that someone experiences jiu-jitsu. They get on the mats and they realize they might have some hubris. They're an athlete. Maybe they've done some stand-up. Maybe they haven't. They're a football player or whatever. And they suddenly are like a fish out of water. They're flopping in the sand, right? And their joints are being popped and they're being choked out. And the humility that they experience, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we need to culturally experience that humility before it's too late. Because that's how manipulatable we are.
Yeah.
Just how like a first day grappler is on the jiu-jitsu mats against a decent fighter, decent grappler. Like that's how helpless we are next to a 3800 ELO, which exists. It'll be stronger than 30. I'm just saying that because where it is now.
Right.
It'll be much the fuck stronger than that tomorrow.
Once it's attached to quantum computing, it literally would be a god.
Yeah.
I mean, we're about to experience the most bizarre transition that I think any human civilization has ever experienced. And, it's electricity times a billion. It's computers times a billion. It's something completely different, and we're going to adapt to it. We're going to have to. We're going to have to figure it out. It's just what will that be like? What will life be like when we adapt to it? That's when things are going to be strange. I think the 80 to 90% improvement of life experience, I think what he's talking about, quality of life experience, I think what he's talking about is it'll make allocation of resources much more efficient. It'll be much easier to get water and health services to third world countries. It'll be much easier to keep power on in places. It'll be much easier for people to get sanitation, medicine, things along those lines. And then starving, poverty, nutrition, all those things could probably be worked out in a far more efficient and a far more effective way. And the problem is control. That's the problem. The problem is human beings. Every single government, every single leadership position, everything involves control. The CEO controls the company. The president controls the country. There's Congress, there's senators. Control, control, control. Everything is control and then financial benefit from that control. That's where it gets scary. Because whoever is actually programming this thing, as we've seen with Google's AI disaster, when they programmed their AI to show you images of Nazis, and it showed you multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial Nazis. Like, instead of actual,
Right.
like, what is it? No, Nazis with fucking dueling scars on their face, hard-looking, scary German dudes. That's Nazis. These are not Nazis. This is a fever dream. This is some nuttiness that you put your DEI nonsense into an artificial version of what the past is. That's crazy. You can't do that. Because if you start doing that with everything else, then we have a distorted version of reality itself by the most potent intelligence that we currently have at our disposal. And that's nuts.
The question is, what should we do? And like as individuals, societally, I mean, I know you're having dialogue with people who have a lot of ideas about societally. I'm thinking about it on the individual level as well. And it goes like to your question about children and learning, right? I feel that there's something about having that beginner's mind, which is so liberating,
Yes.
right? And it's very difficult for adults to release their egoic addiction to what they do, to their habits, right? To what props up their identity. But I think that what we could do is take on thinking, take on learning, take on the art of decision making, for example, with a beginner's mind. For the world that's coming, like you think about skating to where the puck is going, not to where it was or what it used to be, right? So what does it mean to be a human in the world that we're a year or two or three away from, right? Where there's a super intelligence out there that can manipulate us, where so many jobs are lost.
Well, let me throw that at you. What do you think the world will look like?
What do I think it will look like?
Yeah.
I think that we're going to have thrillingly exciting discoveries being made. We're going to have problems solved that we are, as humans, unable to solve. And so there'll be like amazing technological innovations that are going to make things much more convenient. I think there'll be huge life science breakthroughs. I think there'll be huge material science breakthroughs. I think there will be wild competition for who controls it, and I completely agree with you about that. And I think that as that unfolds, it's going to be really messy. I think that there's going to be like unbelievable amounts of jobs are going to be lost, and the people are going to not have jobs. So what the fuck are they going to do, right? So this is part of what I'm describing. People need to train at the ability to recreate themselves, right? Like how some people can move from one art to another and others can't. I think we have to train at the art of rediscovery, right? So I think we're going to be tested as a species in our ability to recreate our identities and to live in a state of dynamic flux, of embracing new paradigms. Paradigms are going to be shifting all the fucking time. The pace of change is going to be radically accelerating for the rest of our lives. The rest of our lives, right?
Yeah.
So if that pace of change is accelerating, then we need to have the ability to recreate ourselves as things shift. We all know that, like, you can't be solving the problem that was important, like, in a fight a minute ago, right? It's a different fucking problem than we have right now,
Right.
or in a chess game an hour ago, or 10 minutes ago, or 1 minute ago, right? As a society, we need to be solving the problems that are and that are coming, not the ones that were 10 years ago that we're emotionally addicted to. But humans don't fucking do that, right? We tend to cling to our ideas, the decisions we made, then we try to justify our ideas. We cling to our identities. I mean, I think that this question of identity is a really important one, whether it relates to a belief system, a decision you've made. Like this idea of humans fighting tooth and nail to maintain our conceptual schemes is something like you think about someone who has like what one might frame as like a fear of success, right? Like that's a term people use, fear of success. The way I understand fear of success is that why do people undermine themselves when they are close to something that they want, right? To a breakthrough that they hear. I think the reason is because if their conceptual scheme, if their identity is in not being the person who wins the big game, right? Or who succeeds, it is more terrifying to succeed than it is to give up that old identity. That's a core driver of human psychology, right? In competition, that's a lot of what we do, right? We plant identities in people, tells in people, little egoic addictions in people, and then we exploit the mind being stuck there because it's not dynamic, it can't keep on moving, right? Like Robert Pirsig, my favorite, the most important philosopher in my life, Robert Pirsig wrote Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Have you read? You read that
Yeah,
book?
I did.
Yeah, awesome. He was a really important person in my life. I can tell you an interesting story about him. His idea of dynamic quality, right? I think we have to live in a state of dynamic quality, not static quality, right? Like you think about the front of the freight train surging through space-time versus sitting in the restaurant car. Like we want to be strapped to the front of the freight train as reality is unfolding and adapting to the new realities. And I think we need to build the way of life that allows us to do that. Right? And I have a lot of ideas about what that way of life looks like. I think if we don't do that, then we're going to be dinosaurs in a fucking world with a comet coming, and it's going to blow us the fuck up. So we need to create the ability to reinvent ourselves, to be creative, to adapt.
So what do you think happens with all these people that lose their jobs? Because most people believe that some form of universal basic income, people that study this, believe that some form of universal basic income is inevitable and necessary. I worry about that psychologically because I worry about people being dependent upon checks from the state and not having agency and not having a personal sense of worth. You know, I think people identify with what they do. If someone's a great mechanic and they have a great relationship with the people that bring their cars to them and they enjoy being able to fix things and help people, they identify with this. This is a part of who they are. You know, they're a person who fixes cars, listening to them. It was like Adam Carolla had a big one because Adam had just left terrestrial radio. He was the morning guy that replaced Howard Stern when Howard Stern went to XM, right? Yeah. So he's on, or Sirius, whatever it was. So it's both now, right? They're combined.
Yeah, Sirius.
So he's on morning radio all over the country, but morning radio is like super stagnant. And they had an LA morning radio station where it was all talk radio station, where it was all talk radio. So it was Tom Likas, it was him, it was there was a few other people I can't remember. Ricky Rockman had a show.
Yeah, Phil Hendry I think had a show.
He had a different show.
Oh yeah.
Phil Hendry was an AM guy.
He was that was the greatest.
That was the greatest show.
Goddamn shows in the world.
It's one of the greatest shows of all time, and he's a super nice guy. I met him once in Montreal. So for people who don't know, Phil Hendry, he's the caller and he's the answerer. He does different voices.
Genius.
And he gets people so angry because the callers will say the dumbest fucking shit. And then you'll have actual people calling in to argue with the caller. It was all Phil Hendry.
Yeah. I remember sitting next to my dad's bed. My dad's in his underwear, and he's got his alarm clock, and we're listening to it. My dad's just like this, and my dad goes, buddy, he's both of them. I was like, what? He goes, this is all him.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa. I mean, it was so ahead of its time.
So ahead of its time. And once you were in on the joke, it was amazing.
Oh, it was amazing.
If I was coming home from the store, it was Phil Hendry or Art Bell. That was what I listened to.
God.
The old days. So Art Bell was my favorite.
Who was Art Bell?
Art Bell was Coast to Coast with Art Bell from the Kingdom of Nye. He was broadcasting from a fucking bunker in the middle of the Nevada desert. He had this crazy radio tower outside of his house in the Nevada desert, and he would take calls from time travelers, werewolves, people that are coming from another dimension. Like, it was the nuttiest fucking show. For real, like, one of my greatest career accomplishments that like made me the most happy was I got on the Art Bell show. And I got on it like way later when he was on the internet. It wasn't even on radio anywhere. But for me, it was like, I got on the Art Bell show.
Yeah.
Yes! It was just like, I just loved that show. It was so fun. Because I'd be driving home. That was his house. So look at, if you see like what his house looked like, it's like his house is in the middle of nowhere in the fucking desert. I mean, the middle of nowhere. There's nothing around his house. And his house is all fenced in, like chain link fence and shit. It looks so psychotic, like perfect for a guy that is broadcasting. He's got like this compound in the fucking desert, dude.
God.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Dude,
and
those
he would
AM
broadcast right from there. Because radio, if you have a tower and you have a station, you can broadcast to the whole country. The country can carry it. So the whole country was carrying coast to coast with Art Bell. And this wild motherfucker is out in the middle of nowhere in the desert, in like a compound, talking to aliens.
They were doing what we're doing now way before the curve.
Yes. Well, we owe all we have today to Howard Stern and Art Bell, for sure. Because we are kind of like a combination of Howard Stern and Art Bell. And if it wasn't for he's the guy that got arrested, or didn't get arrested. He got fined heavily by the Bush administration. This is back when the Republicans were the ones that were trying to censor people, which you should always realize.
It's crazy that you had to say that.
This fucking stupid game that people play back and forth with, who loves war, who hates war, who loves censorship, who hates censorship. It's a political beach ball that they toss around at a concert to keep people occupied. These motherfuckers switch sides, right?
Yeah.
That should tell you enough alone by itself right there, that they fucking switch sides. But he was getting attacked for obscenity, so he put like whatever they would do. They fined. What was the total amount that Howard Stern was fined? This has to be. You got a neurotic guy as it is, right? Who's also the most pioneering radio guy of all time. Right? He's the guy that changed radio from DJs playing records to just talking.
And talking in your authentic voice,
Yeah.
and not, hey, welcome back.
Talking in your authentic voice and having wild shit on the radio.
$2.5 million.
$2.5 million between 1990 and 2004. So they fucked with him for 14 years. 14 years.
And that's not paid by the station, that's paid by him.
Fined owners of radio station licenses that carried the Howard Stern show a total of $2.5 million for content and considered to be indecent. Indecent. So all the stuff that we do on podcasts right now, we would 100% have been fined. 100%. I would have been off the air a long time ago. It was real censorship, but it was just done under the guise of, broadcast. Like, the idea is, like, if you're going to broadcast something on a major network, like NBC, CBS, they have rules to language and what you're allowed to show, which is kind of crazy. Like, why do you have those rules? Like, why do those rules exist? Keep obscenity from television and, like, maybe that was a good idea in 1950 when people didn't know any better. But now that we know better, like, why do you have rules like that?
I can't believe that radio still has those rules. And the rules are
Hardcore
slippery.
rules.
You can say dickhead,
You can't say cunt.
but you can't say suck my dick.
You can't say anything you want to say. Like, sometimes cunt's the right word.
Cunt's one of my favorite words.
Every now and then it's the right word when used correctly. But, like, if you can't say it, then you can't fully express yourself. And if you don't like people fully expressing themselves because you don't like certain sounds, I suggest you grow the fuck up. That's a ridiculous way to think. If I can say cock, but I can't say cocksucker. If I could say dick, like Dick Cheney, but I can't say suck a dick.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? It's the same sound. You're making the same sound. I can say pussy, cat. Pussy cat's fine. You can't say N-word breakfast. You know what I'm saying?
You can. You gotta look both ways.
You gotta be black. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to say certain words that are forbidden words, sometimes they're okay. So it's the sound is sometimes okay.
It even gets trickier. Like, there was a video I was cutting to promote my tour or whatever, and it's me on a boat, or the special. And it's me on a boat, and there's this page I'm really obsessed with. It's Fat N-word season. Joe, it's so addictive because it's all AI, and I think they're promoting a crypto coin.
Of course.
And I was like, and I didn't like the edit, so I go, hey, put Fat N-word Summer, play that song. And it's fucking so much funnier, Joe. It's so much funnier with me shirtless on a boat. But these guys are great. But my wife saw it. She was like, that's offensive. I was like, no. I was
She's right.
yeah. And then I said it to Tommy. I go, is this racist? And he was like, sent it to the wrong guy. all Tom sends me is videos of fat black chicks on rope swings. Our whole thread is just anytime a chick
That's
takes
so
an L
ridiculous.
off a cliff.
God, I gotta get on that thread because the one me and Tommy are on is horrible.
What's that one?
It's all murder.
Oh, yeah,
we send
that's
each
the
other
other side
to
of his brain.
murder and car accidents. Today was a car accident. It was guys escaping the cops, and the guy flips this van multiple times, gets thrown into traffic, and then run over by cars. And it's just splatterfest.
I can't watch those. I was telling someone, my niece had my phone, and she's like 3, and you forget what your algorithm looks like, and it was Fat Edward Summer song came on, and she's like, Uncle Bert, and then the next video was a chick pissing on the passed out dude's head, and I was like, oh, maybe you shouldn't use my phone to relax with.
Yeah, my kids know better. Don't
My
look at
algorithm is
phone.
fucked, dude.
Yeah, my algorithm's not good.
It is fucked. It
My
is.
YouTube algorithm's great.
Oh, my YouTube algorithm's all history.
A lot of my YouTube algorithm lately has been like watching people build things. I love like cabinet makers
Like
and
when-
carpenters, or there's this one guy who makes these specialized desks that have like secret drawers and
hold
shit.
on, I follow that guy. Where you put your
I
hand
think there's a
here,
few of those
and a
guys.
magnet
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
up, and
yeah,
a
yeah.
wand comes out,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
waves
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Fuck, those desks are badass.
Yeah, I wave the wand and the keyboard rolls out. Like, yeah, it's pretty dope. There's a bunch of those guys that make these like super ingenious, like homemade artisan desks.
Yeah, that, or if you get me a chick with no bra doing survival techniques in the woods,
Oh, yeah, that's-
fucking I'm in.
That's a sell.
I've watched so many of those, just
I didn't
rock
know it was
hard nipples.
available. Hot chicks have found their way into basically all walks of life as influencers. You know, there's like hot chick
Yeah.
hunters, there's hot chick jujitsu girls, there's hot chick crossfitters.
There's definitely hot chick golfers.
Oh,
you know
a
that.
lot of that,
I
right?
ran into Paige Spiranak in at the Super Bowl, and I was like, I had to be real because I'm a golfer. I was like, I follow you for your swing. You have a great swing.
Right.
But then you know what's crazy about Paige? She can't snap her fingers or whistle.
How'd you find that out?
Because we were playing a game like Weird Things About Us, and she was like, I can't snap my fingers. And I watched her, and she went like this. She was like, and I go, and she goes, I can't whistle. And she starts going,
How could you not snap your fingers?
I have no idea.
She's the most followed golfer, Joe.
Damn.
She's not.
Tiger Woods only has 3.5 million followers, and she's got 4, and she's not a professional. Yeah, if you're hot, you could do a lot in this world.
And you can
Just be
also
pretty
not
and
whistle
nice.
and snap.
You don't have to snap.
No, you
That's
don't
not
snap.
important. You care?
Yes.
Yeah, she's super
But
hot.
she does have a great swing.
I bet she does. Jesus Christ.
And if she's not wearing a bra, it's so good. Look at that. Watch one.
This seems pornographic.
She's
Whoa.
oh, there we
Well,
go.
gee, I wonder why she's got so many followers. Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Damn. I don't even know if I saw any movement.
I
Yeah.
think, I swear to God, if I had tits,
You want to talk about lucky?
yeah.
That's the Willy Wonka golden ticket. Being a super hot woman. Like, all you have to do is be nice, and doors just open up everywhere. Like da 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 da, she's here. If you're that hot, anywhere you go, like what red carpets get rolled out, roses get thrown at your feet.
She was walking down Radio Row at Super Bowl with Cam Hayward, and both of us are like, just stop talking.
But also, creepers. Creepers launch themselves at you. You're never invisible. Guys are fucking with you all the time. Overconfident guys are hitting on you all the time and then getting really mean when you reject them. That's the thing that chicks have to deal with. You have to deal with like angry guys that like are angry that they get rejected and they start insulting them and yelling at them, and like that's scary shit, man. That's scary shit.
Think about all our friends, all our female comedians that have stalkers. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It's so. You work your ass off as a comic. You happen to be pretty. You start killing it, and then all the fucking psychos come out of the woodwork.
And you don't have any money, so you know probably live in a place that's easy to get to.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's dangerous. There's a lot of fucking. Well, we need better mental health care in this fucking country. And there's a lot of people out there that are out of their fucking mind. And if no one's paying attention to them or checking in on them, like imagine your average guy who loses his fucking mind, and you're a 40-year-old guy who works at a gas station. You've been working at that gas station for 20 years, and no one's paying attention, and you're just slowly losing your fucking mind. and you think Jared Leto is Satan, and you decided that like someone's sending you code on television, and then you lock on some female comedian, and like that's your target. That's who you're.
It's gotta feel nice though
What?
to be a lunatic.
No.
Just to have
What the
something.
fuck is wrong with
have
you?
something to focus
Don't
on.
encourage this. Just have something to focus on. Play video games, guys.
Yeah.
Get involved in Call of Duty, okay? You don't have to fucking go stalk people. Find something productive. Play online chess, you fucking psycho. You don't have to go stalk people.
I always had that brain that, I'd see something like a new addiction come up, like cutting, and I'd go, I wonder what that does. Like I was always looking for something like that,
Yeah.
Like I could never do eating disorder. That was too tough for me. But hey, how about when we were at dinner with that guy, and I said to him, I ran marathons. He went, you do?
That was funny.
And he goes, I wasn't trying to
That
be
was
rude.
funny. That was funny. He was definitely trying to be rude. But he was being funny.
He's
We were
fucking
talking
awesome.
shit. That's Taylor Sheridan.
He was awesome, dude.
Yeah, I like how you call him that guy.
Well, I didn't want to blow his spot up.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, let me tell you something. I'm going to give props to Taylor Sheridan. I haven't said this to anyone. I try to keep those moments that, you have with those guys private. So I was a little bit of a party snitch for a while. But, like, he's a great American storyteller.
He really is.
When he tells you anything about his life or what he's doing, or breaking, or he doesn't even call it breaking a horse. He calls it a different term. But I'm sitting there going like, this is, and this is going to be slanderous a little bit, considering difference of time of where they were, but like, it's like having dinner with Ernest Hemingway. He's created some of the greatest content out there. Yellowstone.
You can't compare him to Ernest Hemingway because Ernest Hemingway is dead and a legend.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Okay.
But he's amazing.
But
Yeah.
amazing.
You ever see that Hell or High Water? You ever see that film?
No, what's that?
Oh my God. It's one of his films.
Oh, that's Taylor's film.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fucking great. Pull up Hell or High Water. This fucking movie, dude. This fucking movie is incredible. Jeff Bridges is in it.
Yeah, I've seen this.
It's about bank robbers, these criminals in a small town. It's fucking good, dude.
I think, what's his name's in this? Oh, shit. We have a friend in this.
Who's your friend?
No, me and you. I think it's our friend. I don't know who it is. No.
It would have been a different arc for me in the chess life. But maybe it would have been much worse for my life. If I'd known him in the city, I might have fucking played chess for the rest of my life, and I'm so grateful I didn't. So who knows?
Isn't it interesting
Yeah.
when life takes you on these, or you go on your own journey, and you realize that decisions that you've made that have turned you in one way, like those are critical decisions. If you think of the life that you're living now, is this optimal? If this is optimal, then yes, it's good that you moved away from chess. But if you had gotten that coaching when you were younger and it reignited your love of chess, then it would be good for the life that you currently have. Because you would say, well, as a person who's just like so in love with chess, I'm so grateful that I ran into this person when I was 11 years old and they sent me in this correct path.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely. I mean, for me, I love the life that I lived. Like, I'm so grateful for the life that I've lived, and I was moved away from chess in many ways by this alienating experience of that I just described, and then also the dynamics of the movie and everything. But I played chess for 8 years after the movie, so my results were very good, but I was moving into this I was in an existential crisis.
Yeah.
Right, and then every like catastrophic injury or heartbreaking loss or losing a world championship, like when you're a millimeter from winning the finals, like all of those losses that were so heartbreaking to me, every big loss, I'm grateful for it, and led to the biggest wins and led to the biggest insights and transitions, and my life today, like the crises that I had, in many ways have armed me to help people express themselves in their arts, right? And a lot of the reads that I made as a competitor, to go back to your question, like I invert now. So like the way I would read chess players, find where their minds were stuck, find where their bias patterns were, like find where their energy was stuck, find where they were like static. Now, then I would exploit them, right? Same thing you do in the fight game. You find where someone's pattern is static and exploit it, right? Then what I do in training people is I have a very good nose for those because I spent my life as a competitor sniffing them out, feeling my way to them, but then I work on liberating them, releasing the obstruction. So a lot of what I do today in my work with brilliant performers is is work on unleashing what I used to exploit.
That's interesting. That's great. That must be very satisfying to teach people how to get better at things.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't use that. Yeah, I don't teach people. I don't know it. I'm not teaching some people something I know.
But you're teaching
we're
what you
discovering.
know.
Well, I'm kind of discovering their path with them.
Okay.
Like, I don't go in thinking, like, this is the way you fucking should do it.
Right,
I don't believe
right.
that I know what they should do. And I believe that any coach who thinks that they know what someone else should do without listening to the self-expression of that person very, very deeply is just wrong, and they should not be. They can reject that coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you have to really understand someone psychologically to be able to coach them as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know like what the hitch is until you run. You're like, oh, there it is.
Right.
So this is your whole problem with your whole life.
Like a hitch. But the amazing
Yeah.
thing is you find the hitch, but then you see, oh, that hitch is interwoven with your biggest. Like I sent you that thing I wrote about Marcelo, right? And like there was this incredible moment that I had with Marcelo. Such an emotional moment, you know. He's in. I describe him as like this great low rep learner, and he's someone who uniquely in my life, I've never seen anyone better at learning from one experience, big or large, right? And then there was this moment we were sitting. I guess it was 6 years ago. We were sitting just talking about life and our journey, and he started weeping. And he said to me, you know, Josh, I never forget my pain. And he said, you know, Marcelo had a real tragedy. He lost a baby. Marcelo and Tachi, his wife, they had twins, and they lost their baby Joey. Olivia and Joey were born premature. Joey died. It was a terrible tragedy. It was just devastating for him. Like, just beyond belief, devastating. And like the loss of his son, the loss of his mother, the loss of his father. Every moment someone looked at him a certain way. Every moment somebody like raised their voice at him and triggered him into like a fight place. Every time he'd been submitted, every time he'd been swept, every time I realized this, and I'm saying this, like all of his pain is with him every moment. And as he described this to me, it was an incredibly emotional scene where he was just weeping in his exploration, in this like just brother to brother talking to me about like he walks around with every wound he's experienced in life present all the fucking time. And so we think of like this brilliant low rep learner, the guy who has a superhuman ability to learn from one experience. But it's a superpower, but also it ravages him all the fucking time. And you can't just remove that. You can't be like, yeah, release your pain.
Right.
Be great. Yeah, but then you're also releasing the genius.
That's the thing about people that are really amazing at something. The pain of losing is so devastating to them. Like when you talk about genius in many, like people use Michael Jordan as an example, genius basketball player, but unbelievably competitive.
Yeah.
Like just can't help himself
In everything.
in everything.
On and off the court.
I've heard if you beat him at pool, he won't talk to you. for
Yeah,
2 weeks.
so you can be like, Mike, just take it fucking easy on the pool table. What do you care? But you can't say that. Gary
Yeah.
Kasparov was the same way.
Yeah.
Competitive in everything.
Everything.
But you can't just like remove that. You're
Yeah.
removing the genius with it.
Right, right.
But-
That you have a Ferrari engine and you're trying to like navigate 30-mile-per-hour traffic. You're like, fuck.
I'll never forget this chess coach, Mark Dvoretsky, he said to me this unbelievably hubristic thing. When I was 15, 16 years old, he said to me, if he had had Bobby Fischer as a student, as a 7-year-old, he could have made Fischer a much, much stronger chess player without any of the craziness. And I
Without
remember-
the craziness.
And I was just like, as a teenager, like I just my hands started like sweating when I just said that. It's just like, because to me, it's just not fucking true.
Right.
Like
It's a
Fischer's,
crazy thing to say.
yeah, it's hubris, right? And
Yeah.
this is the same, the guy who was urging me into that direction, like, but that's the opposite of my approach, right? I think we need, and if we are going to try to disentangle the dysfunction from the genius, we need to understand it very deeply. We need to plant the seeds patiently for that genius to sprout somewhere else. We need to water those seeds. We need to observe them coming. We have to very, like, slightly sand away the dysfunctional patterning while observing if it, like it's a very delicate process, right?
Right.
You can't just fucking excise the tumor.
Well, there's also a problem in when someone becomes very good at doing something and they have a very specific way, they become very good at doing something. They assume that this is the way and that this is the way for everyone and that they can impose their way on other people. And what led them to become great in the first place is also that hubris that makes them think they can take Bobby Fischer and make him even better.
Well, that's why great coaches, great fighters often aren't great
Right,
coaches, right?
right,
Because
right.
most teachers teach the way they learn, which will alienate 70 or 80% of their students by definition.
Right.
Great coaches great coaches for a large group need to be able to teach different ways for different kinds of learners,
Yeah.
different modalities of learners. Are they visual? Are they somatic? Are they auditory? Like, what makes them tick? And you have to know if you're teaching a chess class. I started teaching a group of kids chess when I was in my teens. I taught them from kindergarten through 5th grade, and we ended up winning in New York. It was a beautiful journey with kids at PS 116. And from moving the pieces to winning city, state, and national championships. And it was so interesting because I'd be like teaching 8, 10 kids at once, and I would be teaching. It was like giving a simultaneous exhibition. Like each one had their own language, and I was like so involved with this theme that I would be. It was exhausting. 'Cause I was teaching 10 chess lessons at the same time to 10 kids, and I remember I had this moment, this heartbreaking moment, where I had this one student named Ivan, who I like just charismatic, intense. You know, we had a very close relationship. I loved the kid, and like he was at the national championship. I was giving him this pep talk, and I was just like firing him up and like, speaking to him in the way he needed to be spoken to. And then he was like, he ran off like stoked, fired up to go kick some ass. And then this other kid who was on the team, this beautiful, sensitive boy, came over, and I looked at him with the same energy that I just been speaking to Ivan, and I brought it to him. And I was like 15 seconds into speaking to him, and I looked at his eyes, and I realized like this is a disaster. Like, this is terrible. And then I stopped. I like, whoosh, and I like gave him a hug, and we like slowed it down. And he needed to go in a very different way that Ivan went in.
Right.
But coach, think about how often you see cornermen fucking up fighters.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so as a coach, I think we have to like put our own egos aside and our idea that we know how one should learn.
Yeah, and that's what's very important is finding the right coach. You have to find a coach that understands you and has a style that you can implement. Because there's some coaches that just have styles that you don't physically you're not designed for. You can't learn the way they learn. That's what's fascinating about you is that you've gone from being this hyper competitor to teaching people or coaching people to find the very best version of themselves and how to acquire that. That's very rare that someone who gets really good at something also becomes really good at showing people how they can get better at things. Like that's a specific focus that you've had. Like why is that so rewarding to you?
Well, I took on this interesting challenge when I broke my back. Because I was already doing this, but I was training people. But when I broke my back, I remember I said, okay, during this healing process, after the 1.5 to 2 years of denial and training through it, when I stopped, I tried to take on training people with the same passion and love that I had for training myself. I wanted to see if I could like love it as much. And I never got there. And then I got into that's part of what moved me into discovering the ocean arts and being all in on training. So a big part of my relationship with training other people is training myself as a way of life. Like I'm always I'm living at my limit in the arena myself. The moment I think a coach like leaves the arena where they're putting their own ego on the line all the time, or their life on the line, or whatever the fuck they're putting on the line, then they become static and they start to think they know the answer. It's like the fat, martial arts instructor who's many years past training and is smoking a cigarette on the sideline telling people what to do and no longer is like actually dynamic and putting there. The moment our egos get protected, right? So my relationship to training is something that I live all the time. I think also becoming a dad was a big part of it, like the nurturing. And a lot of what I've done is invert what I used to do to break people. Now I invert to heal them or to unleash them. Being a father is about the most humbling thing I've ever I thought I had ideas about education until I became a dad, and I realized I didn't know anything. I had to start over. Yeah, and also the wound pattern. Like, I think understanding people's wound patterns is very important. And a lot of my wound pattern is in loving something very, very deeply, being alienated from it, and then finding a post-conscious relationship to it and the self-expression within it. And I think that helping people with that journey is really important. And also, I love engaging with all the motherfuckers. I just love, whether, my current projects are like cutting edge science and AI, just brilliant scientists. It's incredibly interesting, and like being deeply involved with the Boston Celtics, like just the very top of the NBA world, and my relationship with Joe Mazzulla, the head coach, and kind of coaching the coaches, a modality that I've been playing in for a long time. Helping the leader of an organization express themselves as the coach of their people is a big part of what I do, and a couple other interesting investing and tech projects, and like just helping it allows me to play in fascinating realms, and then studying the interconnectedness. And a big part of my passion is thematic interconnectedness. Like, how is what's happening with the Boston Celtics the same as what's happening in this cutting-edge science program? The same as what's happening in this wildly interesting tech investing, right? And how do those principles, those interconnecting fibers, relate to culture more broadly, and relate to me and what I'm doing every day on the water, boiling?
Yeah, that's Miyamoto Musashi.
Yeah.
Once you understand the way broadly, you can see it in all things.
So the Book of Five Rings, right? Like, to me, I feel that I cannot believe how few people have studied Musashi deeply, right? I mean, whether you're reading the novel about his life and then studying, like, Book of Five Rings, I think everyone should read like 10 times, maybe a day a page, 10 times over. One of my favorite cadences of Musashi is so many chapters of Book of Five Rings, how he comes back and says, like, essentially, these words are empty. You have to practice them as a way of life.
Yes.
Again and again. And people just skip these things, but they don't realize. And everyone wants to be told what to fucking do, as opposed to understanding they have to work for the path to figure out what the fuck they should do. And you have to practice as a way of life.
Right.
Right? Yeah, talk about a real motherfucker.
Well, just fascinating that he learned this by being a sword fighter.
Yeah.
What is the best way to be a sword fighter? You can have no bullshit in your mind, so you must be balanced. And his approach was, you must be an artist, you must be a poet, you must be a warrior, you must be in tune with all of your feelings and all of your senses and everything about you, and to do everything correctly. Do all things.
And he was fighting to the death.
To the death.
So there was no bullshit.
Right.
There's no room
Killed
for
62 men in one-on-one combat.
You can't say like, oh no, that wasn't my fault. That doesn't fucking work. No, you take your shit on.
Yeah.
But but there's something so beautiful about the truth-telling nature of living. Like, if you know when you're in a jiu-jitsu team and you watch someone who doesn't think they're competing for a while, and they're something like they're competing next week, how the repertoire presses, like all of that